Here you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Okay, Simon, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. And what do people normally wear?
Clothes.
Exactly. So now Mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Clothes keep us warm, they look good, and if we go out without them, the neighbors will talk. So it's important to know how to get dressed. Here's how it's done. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. If you're wearing a tie, it goes over, round, through, and pull tight. Tuck your shirt into your pants and zip up your flap. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops. The rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears.
I love bunnies.
Good to know. Now remember, spots don't go with stripes, socks don't go with sandals, and if you've tucked in your shirt, wear a belt. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing bottom line. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.
Saturday, August 28th, add it to your calendar. The Sports Betting Channel presents To Be Determined. Our new show starts at 8 o'clock out here in San Diego, 11 o'clock in New York, and then we're done just in time for the first game kickoffs for college football. You're going to get 4 totally different slices of sports. Blackhawk West joins us for Saturdays in Canada and some plays for the CFL game. What do you do when the easy sports data is trending in opposite directions? Well, Mo's going to help us decide what to do on Something's Gotta Give. There's also Paulo's plays. Now, if you're not betting soccer, you really should be. And this guy is very, very good. Finally, there's Wake and Bake, where sports betting meets marijuana. Hey, the games start early here in Southern California. Now, 9 o'clock's a lot easier when marijuana is legal. It's like having 4 shows in one. Check it out Saturday, August 28th on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, and on the Sports Betting Channel.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Colt Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu Karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit them online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is you over 30 years ago.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
And this is your mom when you drive her back from therapy.
Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Roles change without us noticing, and in your new role, we help you help. AARP gives you the information to help care for your mom so that you can have patience with her, just like she did with you. Visit aarp.org/caregiving or call 1-877-333-5885 to get practical health and wellness tips to provide even better care for your loved one.
Are we there yet?
Remember, visit aarp.org/caregiving. AARP, we help you help. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese.
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving. Driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
What are you talking about?
No, it's not him. There is only one more. There is only one more. That's it. One more.
Get her ass!
No!
They saw your team put up zero effort.
Wake up!
Remember in the old days they used to have oxygen for them. Where's the oxygen?
Play like absolute just garbage.
This is the Sports Loudmouths.
Yay!
Man, can you keep it down? I'm trying to introduce here. With Errol Marks, Speedy Petey, and Tyler Harrison.
You're not even a has-been. You're a never was. You're a never was. You're a never was.
You know you like that. 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 What? You know you like that. Come on.
And we are finally back, ladies and gentlemen, together here on the Sports Loudmouths. Remember, you can listen to our show at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you can go on iOS, which is obviously Apple. You can download our app by going to WWSRN or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Obviously, everybody knows I was in North Carolina. I was back last week, but Tyler had some stuff going on, so he was not in for practically the whole week, but that's all right. We are back in. What are you looking at? What are the faces?
We have two shows.
That's right.
I made one. I missed the other.
Yeah, well, you weren't here for the full show on the other week. You weren't here for the full show.
Yes, I was.
I don't remember. That just shows you. Anyways, we're back in the studio for a full show. Never. Could you just pay attention? You know, last week when I wasn't here, you just sat there in front of a mic just wondering what to say. Now, finally, when you have something to say, you're spitting it out. So thank you for opening your mouth during the show.
Oh,
anyways, as you guys know, we are going to have a very, very good show lined up at 9 o'clock, which is just about now. We will be talking to Pro Football Focus lead fantasy analyst, podcast and host, Ian Hartitz, right? Mm-hmm. Hartitz, I got it. And at 9:30, Speedy, you're supposed to actually pronounce the last name, so I know how to pronounce it. And at 9:30, we'll be talking to host of the -3 podcast and NFL analyst, Dave Dameshek, which Dave is a very good friend of the show. We've had him on the show twice, I'm pretty sure, and he's going to be joining us again. Very, very funny guy. But we had Ian on the show a while ago. I remember Ian. It was a while ago, But we finally got him on, and we are now talking to Pro Football Focus lead fantasy analyst and podcast host, Ian Hartitz. What's going on, Ian?
Yeah, thanks for having me back, man. Maybe third time will be a charm with the name. We'll see. But yeah, guys,
Is that how you pronounce it? Is that how you pronounce it?
It's like Cheez-Its, but Hartitz. But it's all right,
Hartitz.
man.
I got it now.
I was called Tits till I was about 21 years old.
Really?
So it's all good, guys. Once you get the professional job, people try to just say
Don't give Arrow any ideas.
Well, if you know me, my last name is Marks. So just think about how you want to make fun of that name. Skid Marks. You can, trust me, I heard it all. And my first name is Errol. So I've heard some crazy just different ways to pronounce my name. So I've had a lot of problems over the past. And I used to beat those kids up. So just think. But Ian, we're very happy to have you on. By the way, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you before we get into this interview?
PFF Fantasy Football Podcast at Hartitz on Twitter, PFF.com. I got stuff coming out pretty much each and every day. So, yeah, guys, ready to talk some ball. I'm happy we just got some live action to talk about. As someone that does this from March, to just 365 days a year, it's a lot easier when you got actual games happening every weekend. So, pumped to be here, guys.
And you have a huge following on Twitter, and I've actually checked out your Twitter quite a few times. All your posts, you're very active on your Twitter, that's for sure. Somebody who's not, I have almost 3,000 people that follow me, and they complain to me all the time, why don't you post anything? We follow you, but you don't post anything. So unfortunately, I'm not very into the social media. I'm going to start doing that, but very happy to have you on. So Ian, why don't we get into a little bit of the New York sports for us first, the New York Jets and the New York Giants. The Jets lose, obviously, Curry and one of the big signings, Carl Lawson. What were your thoughts when you heard that Carl Lawson was out for the season with the Achilles, the ruptured Achilles, and now this blood situation, which could end Curry's career? It came out today. What was your thought when you heard about that?
I just hate it, man, with all these injuries and period. Like, can we not just have God turn these things off at this point? I guess my one hope would be with at least in regards to the Achilles injury. So, particularly for running backs, like when Cam Akers got hurt, we just hear, the history of the injury. It's absolutely brutal. I will say, though, two guys, O.J. Howard and C.J. Uzomah, who suffered the ruptured Achilles last year, they're back in the preseason. Same with Marlon Mack. That's three. I'm not a freaking doctor. I'm not sure if we've had a breakthrough or whatever. I will say, not that long ago, torn ACLs were seen as a career ender. Now we basically expect the person to be ready to go by week one. So I'm really hopeful, the Achilles, at least, maybe modern medicine is working its miracle and we're getting in a better spot with that. As for the blood clot, man, like, what can you do? If the guy was in danger, I mean, man, I'm happy they found it. I remember growing up, and there's one of the best kids I played with in middle school just goes to the doctor one day, and they say, hey, man, there's something wrong with your back. You can never play football again. So it's absolutely brutal. I can't imagine what he's going through, but, just hope for the best.
So staying with the Jets, Zach Wilson's had a very impressive preseason so far, his first two games. So what is your expectations of him and your impressions of him as a quarterback so far, both for real life football and also for fantasy? Is it still somebody that's a streaming guy, or is it someone that you're willing to draft late?
I'm now getting in on him in that last tier of quarterbacks. Between him and Tua, I think they definitely supersede guys like Daniel Jones, Ben Roethlisberger, Sam Darnold, Carson Wentz. All that group, everything we've seen from Zach Wilson, I think, has been absolutely fantastic. And it's not that we didn't know he was capable of making these throws, but for him to now do it on an NFL field with the New York Jets, I mean, it sure as hell helps to see, because I understand he's playing against backups, but at least he's playing great against the backups. I mean, at least we're not having to have that conversation about it not mattering. And, even in that Green Bay game, man, that first throw he made to Corey Davis for about 30 yards down the sideline after kind of reversing field in the pocket, absolutely spectacular. And then he has the back shoulder touchdown to Tyler Kroft. Broke my heart. I'm a Chris Herndon truther, so I always want them to go to him, but just perfect ball placement to Kroft. And those are, the types of throws and plays that really just stood out to me, because in the preseason, generally, I want to see first team snap counts. That's how we get a better idea of the depth chart. Everyone thought Michael Carter was going to be the stud bell cow from week one. Now it's kind of looking like maybe he's the RB3. Maybe not. Either way, they're a hell of a lot better than the depth charts that the PR interns put out at the beginning of August. So for Zach Wilson to really make impressive plays, just like Marquez Callaway on the Saints, beating Shaq Griffin, the number one corner, for a big one-handed catch. Like, these aren't empty plays against complete nobodies. They're showing off a lot of the talent he had. So for me, Zach Wilson, like Jets fans should be absolutely hyped about him. And in fantasy, yeah, I think, it's particularly for teams, in best ball when you're drafting 2-3 QBs. If you're in your one quarterback home league with your friends, you're good. But super flex and, these best balls, I think going with Zach is really giving yourself a very cheap way to a lot of upside.
So enough of this Jet talk, right? There's another team that plays in the same building, and we're talking about guys we have seen. We have yet to see Saquon Barkley take a live snap, and we're going on about a year and a half now. Do you have any concerns for Saquon as far as fantasy goes? And realistically, what are you expecting from Saquon when he does eventually get back on the field?
I mean, I wish he wasn't banged up. That'd be a lot easier to figure out. With that said, everything that I've heard about this situation, we're not hearing like Saquon's slow to progress or Saquon's had a setback or this and that. It's always been usually from Jordan Renan just saying like they have his long-term career interests in mind. Like I freaking hope so, but I mean, he's going along on schedule. And one of the guys I really respect in the industry, Dr. Edwin Porras, he works over at Fantasy Points. Like he's done these studies again on the torn ACLs and the specifics behind it. And his 3 main criteria for when we should expect guys to heal in a good timetable are when they have high draft capital. That's a sign of a freak athlete. I think we all know Saquon fits that build. If they're 24 or younger, and if they're going through a relatively non-complex injury. Now he said relatively there. I understand it was more than just the ACL. I think Dr. Porras has a better idea of what constitutes complex than, any of us sitting here. I don't know if I'm talking to some doctors. Maybe I am, but I'm just going out on a limb with that. I am concerned enough to move him down to RB6. But anything past that, man, like for the month or so, I was able to scoop this guy in, the first or second pick of these second rounds over at Underdog Fantasy. And, it felt like, just stealing the cookie out of the cookie jar to an extent. So I get not taking him like in the top 5 just because I think, between Zeke, CMC, Derrick Henry, Kamara, and Dalvin Cook, like you just don't have the injury concerns and you have a very, similar touch count projection. But otherwise, man, I can't get behind any of those other guys because Saquon Barkley, for my money, is still the best running back alive when he is right.
Thank you.
We are talking to Pro Football Focus lead fantasy analyst and podcast host, Ian Hartitz. Now, Ian, we talk about, and I know he went to the Giants, and I understand because he's not a Jet fan, and that's fine. The thoughts of the Jets going after a defensive end. I mean, there were talks, though, Douglas was going after Chandler Jones. There was also talks that they might wait until, obviously, certain players get cut before the preseason is over. Are you hearing anything right now for the New York Jets? Has anything come out on your way where the Jets are going to make a significant move at the pass rushing position, defensive end position?
Nah, man, I don't have those sources. What is funny, though, I've gotten one source in my life, and I actually got the Michael Thomas ankle news about 3 weeks before Schefter, and then those guys did, because a buddy of mine is friends with some old, like, Ohio State football players. Somehow, I just get a text mid-podcast, and it was my buddy saying, like, wow, I just heard that, Michael Thomas is an idiot, didn't fix his ankle when he should have, and now he's going to miss like 6 months. So I remember saying that on the pod and being like, biggest grain of salt ever. I don't know anything. With that said, here we go. So I don't know. They could use the help. I get it. But I will say, I don't think either of the New York teams are going to have this defense that, teams are just straight up walking over. I mean, I think the Giants would be a little bit stronger than the Jets. I mean, Bradbury and Jackson, that's a hell of a 1-2 punch at corner, if I do say so myself. So we'll see. I mean, they could certainly use the edge rushing help now that they've had these injuries come to fruition. Maybe trying to think who could be on the block. Yeah, we'll see. I would guess, a move gets made in the next week or two, because as we see a lot of times, when a team decides they're going to cut ties with their edge rusher, they send them for some 7th round pick or whatever before they actually let them be a free agent. So long way to say we'll see.
AFC, the New England Patriots made a significant amount of moves in the offseason. They needed to really drop the hammer with Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl with Tampa. They are playing the Patriots this year. Sonny Michel gets traded today for, if I'm not mistaken, a 5th or a 6th. It could be a 4th, depending how well the Rams play this year. Are you surprised with the Patriots' moves and Mac Jones? Do you think he wins the job over Cam Newton?
So I guess the only surprise with the moves, I didn't necessarily hate any of them. If they want to run a 2 tight end offense, well, they got, the 2 best available free agent tight ends we've seen in some time. Nelson Aguilar, as much as people want to keep going back to the dropping babies meme, which is funny, but he was fantastic with the Raiders last year. Maybe fantastic is a strong word, but he was very good. Like, he was legit Derek's Carr, number one receiver on the league's 10th highest scoring offense. So Nelson Aguilar is a legit solid addition, and Jacoby. The offense should be in a much better place than it was last year, and the defense was already good. So optimism should be high. It was just funny to me, though, when they give Hunter Henry and Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, like the two biggest tight end deals we've pretty much ever seen in open free agency. And they signed Nelson Aguilar to a non-insignificant, to a pretty freaking significant deal, I should say. Then also Kendrick Bourne to more money than people were thinking, all in the first day. Like, how badly did Belichick just want to get on vacation this year? So the moves themselves, I thought, were fine enough. The money kind of, allotted to the guys was a little bit more interesting. Kind of seemed like, Belichick saying all right, I don't know how. Seemed like a guy that might coach forever, but my goodness, man, it seemed like someone also trying to maximize whatever window he's got left. So we'll see what happens.
So we talked about players on the Giants. How about a guy that was almost on the Giants that has been one of the most polarizing guys on whether they'll be either really good or iffy in the NFL, and that's Devontae Smith. And I know you're somebody that's a big truther of Devontae Smith. And as a Giants fan, I don't really want him to succeed, but I agree with you. I do think he will. So why do you think Devontae Smith, despite his size, will be a great player in the NFL?
It's funny, man. I did really well in NFL draft props this year, but I lost my biggest one, unfortunately, and that was Devontae under his draft position, because a lot of people were saying he would go to the Giants, and I was like, kidding me? Gentleman could be the guy to draft, a sub 170-pound wide receiver in the first round? I don't freaking think so. Eagles trade up and get the guy. So, I'll take the L on that one. I never so much doubted the player. I doubted the NFL's kind of willingness to embrace someone like him. I was surprised to see Waddle, who's not exactly a big guy either, go 6th overall. So it might just be the way, the game is moving. Rondale Moore is making a lot of big plays now. I mean, not big plays, but he's getting big utilization in these games as well. It would make sense. I mean, we just see big hits that are clean just get flagged because they're almost too violent these days. I mean, football is so much different than it was 15 years ago. I don't know that pulling these 30-year studies and saying, well, only this handful of successful wide receivers have played at under 170 pounds, because again, the game is just so different. And I think we saw flashes of that in the last preseason game. Devontae and definitely Jamar Chase need to work on, not dropping the football, but we know those guys can catch the ball. Devontae, man, that whip route he put on the outside, just easily creating 5-6 yards of separation. It was great to see. Honestly, him and Elijah Moore actually on the Jets, who's been banged up, but hopefully is going to be playing against the Eagles this weekend. It's almost better, I think, for fantasy investors that they got a little bit banged up this preseason, because if we saw them going out there making the big plays that we know they're going to be capable of with the opportunity they're getting, that's when we see, Marquez Callaway jump up 20 wide receiver spots overnight. So it might not be the end of the world that he was a little bit nicked up. AJ Brown was like that. We had the BC Johnson over Justin Jefferson reports going this time last year. So just again, the only knock we have on Devontae Smith is his weight, but everyone I trust, that even more so than myself in terms of just prospect evaluation, Mike Renner, Josh Norris, all these guys I really respect, just say, yeah, if we had on-field evidence of the weight being a problem, then we could question it. We really don't. So you throw in the reality that he's the pretty much undisputed number one receiver in this offense. And yeah, man, I have him, I think, wide receiver 25 or 26 right now. So I'm all in on it. And I really think, you don't even need to draft him that high in a lot of these leagues. He's a great option for pretty much anyone there in the middle rounds.
So obviously, I have a fantasy sleeper this year. I just want to know if you expect him to go back to his true form, or if you think what we've seen from him the last 2 years is kind of what his new status.
Do not bring up Baker Mayfield.
I'm not bringing up Baker Mayfield. I'm not bringing up Baker Mayfield. Do you expect Odell Beckham Jr. to go back to being a true number one wide receiver? Because I've been alone on this show saying that Odell is still by far a top 5 receiver talent-wise, and I get yelled at for it endlessly.
No, he's not.
You know who else said that? Jalen freaking Ramsey. I think he knows what he's talking about. Called him the second toughest guard in the freaking league. So I'm with you to an extent. Do I think he's going to be back to a top 5 fantasy wide receiver like he was perennially with the Giants? No. That's more of a volume issue. I mean, with the Giants every single year, 10 plus targets per game. 2019, he had 8.3. Last year, even getting rid of the 2-snap game in week 7, he was only at 7 targets per game. So it's going to be tough for him to completely smash. But like, guess what? We don't have to draft him as the guy expected to completely smash anymore. Last year, Beckham was going as the wide receiver 12 in full PPR leagues. Right now, he's going as the wide receiver 27. I know he hasn't been great in Cleveland, but 2019, he was a wide receiver 25. Before he got hurt last year, he was a wide receiver 19. Like, unless this injury, which everything we've heard, again, he's progressing fine. You know, people are saying he looks better than ever. It say us a lot, but I'm not believing him, you know? So I think with the injury being the only problem, like, I'm fine taking that discount because we still haven't seen the best version of Baker and OBJ together. And I refuse to believe that putting OBJ in any offense makes it work. And I did a study to try to help show this. And one of the cool things I found, Baker, who's played, 9 or 10 games without OBJ over the past 2 years, he has averaged 0.6 more yards per attempt without Beckham on the field. Patrick Mahomes has played 8 games without Tyreek Hill over the years. He's averaged 0.6 more yards per attempt per game without Tyreek Hill on the field. Now, would anyone in their right mind try to say the Chiefs are better off without Tyreek Hill? No. So stop saying it about Odell Beckham as well.
Thank you, sir. You're my new favorite guest.
Thank you, man. It's just a matter of
he was your first Baker. That's why he's my favorite.
Baker, third year with a new freaking system. He has no preseason, all the COVID bullshit, and we act shocked that it took the guy like a month and a half to get going. And the offense was humming, except when they played the Ravens and Steelers. We act like the Browns were just some like awful team. They went 30 per game, except for those 2 duds, and which were not Beckham's fault. So yeah, man, I'm expecting him to like bounce back big time. The fact we don't have to even like use like this hard pick on him. We see it with Joe Mixon. We see it with all these guys that have just gotten hurt last year. Like, people are just afraid to buy back in because they got hurt last year. Don't be that guy.
We are talking to Pro Football Focus lead fantasy analyst and podcast host Ian Hartitz. Now, Ian, we talked about Odell Beckham. We're talking about the Browns. When you look at that division right now with the Browns, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati, they've gotten a lot better. You listen and read some things Joe Burrow has posted up that he has the 3 top best wide receiver trio in the NFL. When you look at that division, I think it's still a very tough division. I don't think Pittsburgh is as strong as they have been over the last, I would say, 15 years, even with Ben Roethlisberger there. Do you see the Browns really taking over that division with all the acquisitions they've made? Obviously, they have the most talent. Do you see them as the top team in that division right now?
The Brownies, yes, sir. I actually put a little bit of dough, 1 unit on their Super Bowl odds not that long ago. I think Baker Mayfield up plus 3,500 is a reasonable value as well for MVP. Like,
yes,
the only thing missing from this offense last year was the presence of a just legit stud wide receiver who can get open even when everyone knows that the ball's going his way. Well, good. We're getting back OBJ. And hey, man, I mean, year 2, Donovan Peoples-Jones is sure looking pretty damn good in his own right. We'll see. Jarvis Landry last year, like, it was almost surprising he played at the beginning because he had like a later offseason hip surgery. He ended up coming on strong, so we can have a bounce back from him. I mean, the receivers are great. The tight ends are 3 deep. They have the best running back room in the NFL, and they have PFF's #1 offensive line. The offense is there, and it was pretty much there last year. It's just the defense, and my goodness, man, you talk about, I mean, what's the I'm not a huge basketball guy. Who was the Schroeder, Dennis Schroeder. He had that like 70,
Lakers,
80, had that $70-80 million deal on the table, and now he's getting like the $8 million exemption from the Boston Celtics. Like, same thing happened with Jadeveon Clowney, where he had this massive contract offer from the Browns a few years ago, and now they got him for like pennies relative to what they were giving him before. So even if Clowney isn't, the game record you would hope he would have been, like one of the most hyped recruits in my memory, he's still someone that they're gonna have to respect on the line. Like, he's a hell of an upgrade over Olivia Vernon, who was out there last year. So you add that. I know Greedy Williams is already a little bit banged up, but we've at least upgraded the backup cornerbacks a little bit more. Denzel Ward's one of the better #1s in the league, even if Travis Kelce got the best of him on that one route we all saw. And man, if we can just get Myles Garrett with no COVID fully go for a year, it's tough to ever bet against Aaron Donald and the defensive MVP. I get it, but man, Myles Garrett, man, I feel like he's capable of one of these 20 sack seasons where everyone's just like, my goodness. He said it himself. He says he's the best edge defender, in the NFL, and I'm not really inclined to disagree with him.
By the way, speaking of the AFC North, I do want to mention Ian actually came in on our StreamYard with his mantra "Free Auden Tate," which I thought was very funny, and it's on your Twitter too. My friend who's a Bengals fan was a huge fan of that, and I actually agree with you to an extent. I'm surprised he's getting. I mean, I guess. Overlapped by these other receivers. So I just wanted to bring that up. My question is mainly with the quarterbacks though, because it's so deep now. We've seen over the years fantasy people say, all right, wait on the quarterback, but now even more prevalent than ever. So again, what is the earliest you would ever take a quarterback, and who would it be in that case in terms of value? And how many quarterbacks in the league right now that are starting do you think are draft worthy in terms of even just late in the draft that you think could be very good?
That is the wild thing. I was looking at it, the fantasy points per game, and like 17.5 is a pretty good number historically. It's at least decent. Like there was 22 or 23 quarterbacks that hit that mark last year. So that was, including guys that only played a handful of games. But either way, like it's just clear today's NFL, higher scoring, and we're seeing better quarterbacks because of that in fantasy, particularly with the rise of all these dual threats that, we're asked to go play wide receiver, 30 years ago, pretty much. So that's really the big cheat code in this game. It's players that have those multiple means of getting production, rushing quarterbacks and receiving running backs. Every now and then you get your Robert Woods, Curtis Samuels of the world, rushing wide receiver, but the quarterbacks and RBs are the main ones. It just depends on the round, man. Like usually I am waiting until the second, third tier quarterbacks for single quarterback leagues. If we're going super flex or 2 QB, then you got to get on the horse a lot quicker. With that said, I mean, I did take Patrick Mahomes like in round 4, I think in this certain league when I already had Kelsey or Tyreek Hill early on. I've taken Lamar Jackson at a similar point. I mean, if the guy falls to a decent level, I'm okay with it. It's just, not a position I'm going to reach on, or once I see people start drafting them, like stray away from my strategy too much to do so. One guy I keep finding myself getting more and more, which is nice, is Jalen Hurts, who earlier this offseason, Hurts was like, it was funny, like not many people, I get it, are playing fantasy football in April, but there'd be the occasional tweet like, who's your favorite late round quarterback this year? And people would say Jalen Hurts. And it was almost funny because like for the sharp best ball players going on, which those are the only freaking people playing in April as it is, like he was already going as the QB7, QB8. So it was like, oh, your late round quarterback is already going in the top 6, 7 rounds anyway. So now though, for whatever reason, he's been falling a little bit and he's now pretty much available in round 10 or 11. So I would say I'm trying to get my first quarterback, if I'm even drafting to, in rounds 7 or 10. The one strategy though, guys, I've really been loving this year, if you really want to go later, Trey Lance or Justin Fields, both, we all see the upside, dual threat, both got cannons for an arm and all that. Get them and then get Kirk Cousins with your last pick. Guys, the Vikings early schedule, we get 7 weeks of Kirk Cousins against the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Browns, the Lions, the Panthers, and the Cowboys. Like only Aaron Rodgers had more games with at least 3 touchdowns than Kirk Cousins last year. I know the dude's, a lot of people probably aren't the biggest fan of the way he's handled himself this offseason and all that. If you're just worried about fantasy points, I think Kirk Cousins can really be a great streamer for you while Lance or Fields fights for that job.
I just had a league this weekend, which I did Tannehill of Fields. That was the combo.
That works.
Yeah.
I do that. I'm saying if Fields is like your first quarterback and you don't have a top 10 dude, Tannehill's legit.
Gotcha.
So.
Ian, before we let you go, because we have another guest, one more question. Is there a particular team this year that stands out from all the rest? I mean, obviously Arizona with the acquisitions they've made, with the draft stock they've added to that team. We were just talking about the Browns. Some people even think Oakland could be a team to beat right now in their division. With all, obviously defensively they're a little weak, but all around they're going to be a fun team to watch with John Gruden over there. Is there a team that stands out to you from all the rest?
So I like the Cardinals call. One cool trend I've noticed. So we had the 2018 Browns, 2019 Cardinals, 2020 Bengals, all had the first overall pick. Baker, Kyler, Burrow. First year, see some flashes. Second year, they add the alpha receiver, OBJ, Hopkins, Jamar Chase. What happened to the second-year Browns and second-year Cardinals? Okay, we got hyped about the quarterback and the wide receiver. They were good, not great. Defense and offensive line holes ultimately, kind of submarine the team. Now, in the post-hype year 3, we saw what the Browns did with it last year. I do think the Cardinals helped shore up some of those holes they had. I mean, adding J.J. Watt and getting a healthy Chandler Jones back is absolutely huge in that defensive line. The cornerback room looks very rough, but you know what? If you can get pressure on the quarterback in 2 seconds every play, I mean, that's the easiest way to make a bad cornerback look good. So I love that call on the Cardinals being kind of a sneaky team to maybe go seize a fairly wide open, it's loaded, but a fairly wide open NFC West. With that said, guys, I just don't know how you can pick against probably the Buccaneers at this point. Like, for them to do what they did last year, I know it's not sexy, but it's like, damn, they bring back every single starter. They got deeper at wide receiver. They got Giovanni Bernard to give Brady his, James White South. Like, this team is just completely loaded again from top to bottom. And I picked the Chiefs against the Buccaneers. I thought Mahomes would overcome it. And I think he, maybe could and try to, but it's just like, I know it's not sexy to predict a rematch with it, but I look across the leagues and I think there's a better chance of the Browns or the Bills beating the Chiefs than I do any team in the NFC beating the Buccaneers. That's basically what I'm saying.
Ian, why don't you tell the fans how they can find you on social media?
At Hartitz, Twitter, screw Instagram, waste of time. I don't know.
Well, Ian, we would love to get you on before the season. Actually, after the season starts, because the season's 2 weeks away. So we would love to get you on. You give us some really good knowledge and not only fantasy or what your thoughts are going on in the league. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Talk to you later.
As everybody knows, we were just talking to Pro Football Focus lead fantasy analyst and podcast host, Ian Hartitz. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we will be talking to the host of -3 podcast and the NFL analyst, Dave Dameshek, here on the Sports Loudmouths.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Be fearless at MMA Long Island and Seituha Karate. Located at 28 Cold Court in Ronkonkoma, MMA Long Island is the martial arts school for you if you want to learn combat-proven techniques, build confidence, discipline, and self-esteem while learning real martial arts to fight back against bullies, predators, and peer pressure. MMA Long Island offers group and private lessons for all ages and levels in traditional Goju-Ryu karate, MMA, and self-defense. MMA Long Island is one of Long Island's most affordable martial arts schools. There are no promotion, belt, or membership fees, and family discounts are available. All classes are taught by 7th degree black belt Sensei John Benedict with over 30 years teaching experience. So whether you want to get in the ring or protect yourself and your family, MMA Long Island can help you reach your goals. Visit MMALongIsland.com. That's MMALongIsland.com or call or text 516-381-9660. That's 516-381-9660.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. As you guys know, this is the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Errol Marks. My co-host, Tyler, a.k.a. Beef Patty Harrison.
That wasn't my name.
Well, it is now. And Speedy Dan Petey. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Wednesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com and go to iOS, which is our app, WWSRN, Apple or Android Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We were just talking to Ian Hartitz, who gave us some good information, football, lead fantasy analyst, podcast sensation. But we have another podcast, a.k.a. Big Sports Guru when it comes to football. We are now talking to the host of -3 podcast and NFL analyst, Dave Dameshek. What's going on, Dave?
Yo, what's happening there, fellas? Yeah, also extra points with cousin Sal, who you may or may not know. He has some good insights for you, too. And he hails from the Long Island region of the tri-state. And I'm wondering, I'd forgotten that's where you guys are located. That's where you specifically are, somewhere up there?
Yes, Long Island, New York, my friend.
Well, I mean, I'm from Pittsburgh, and after what the Islanders did to the Penguins a few months ago, I may take leave of you right here. In fact, I will. Goodbye. No. All right. But yes, we'll talk about football. I guess it's better than talking about what happened this past spring. It's still making me feel very sad though about the way that all went down.
We'll help you out this year because we're adding probably Vladimir Tarasenko very soon. They have Zach Parise. This team is going to be loaded this year, so they might even be more fun to watch because they're
Here
going
we
to
go.
definitely be favorites. Anyways, and by the way,
Here
we're
we
not
go.
talking hockey, and you're a Ranger fan, which
I
is
understand.
it's a wash. We're washing our hands from that. Anyways, Dave.
I didn't say a word.
Dave, your thoughts to the New York teams this offseason? Obviously, with the Giants, I believe their schedule works very well for them this year, where they could be a playoff team. And the New York Jets losing Vinny Curry for the season. They lost, obviously, Carl Lawson. But Zach Wilson looks great. We're looking at Elijah Moore, even though he hasn't played one preseason game. He's looked sensational in practices. Is there anything that stands out with the New York Jets first from this offseason with the draft and some of the acquisitions they have made?
Well, the first thing is the massive overhaul at the two most important spots, head coach and QB. And as far as that goes, I have declared that if Sam Darnold, who I know is no longer your cross to bear, but if he thrives or is even mediocre in Carolina, I hereby decree Adam Gase is not only not allowed to ever have a coaching job again, he's not allowed to watch football ever again. Man, what is the canard that we were sold on this guy? This is crap. What if Darnold is bad, but is good without Gase? That will be. I really will feel like Peyton was playing a practical joke on us the last decade. But I mean, from what you can glean from August, and I generally philosophically say that you should try to glean nothing from August. It's a lie for your eyes. 1 month long, you get seduced by this guy or that playing against second and third stringers. It's hard to get a real read on it. As I say, it's a Civil War reenactment, pigskin style. That said, you can see that Zach Wilson has a live arm, and there is a difference to be divined from watching him at BYU versus, and there's something about when some guys get on the NFL field, it's like, wow, they look small all of a sudden, don't they? He cuts a nice figure for as far as you can take that. I think they happen to be in a brutal division. I'm not sold that the Bills are definitely going to steamroll everybody. I think the Dolphins are going to be much better, or Tua specifically is going to be much better. Ergo, the Dolphins will be slightly improved from last year. And I think the Patriots, this is not owed to what we've seen these last couple of weeks or the Mac v. Cam stuff. I just believe that the Patriots, based on the what they did in free agency and otherwise, and the guys returning, I think they're going to, sad to say it, but they're going to be a 9-win team or a 10-win team and be on the cusp of the playoffs. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of room for the Jets to be relevant. But I think the Jets fans are, correct me if I'm wrong, I talked to Dan Hanzus from around the NFL yesterday about it, and I can kind of forgive most football seasons. If you know your team ain't going to the Super Bowl, what's the point? If you know right now our team has no chance, it's kind of hard to get into a 17-week stretch. But I think this season, as a Jets fan, if we see promise and there are no devastating injuries over the course of the season to our core guys, we have reason for optimism going forward. And that's been a rare thing for Jets fans.
So you brought up Sam Darnold, which was actually interesting, transitioning nicely to my question, which you do a lot of bets too, in addition to all the football content. And one of the bets I saw on your Twitter that you were placing was the Panthers as a wild card team. Now, what are the biggest reasons for that, and how big of a leap can you see Sam Darnold making from his time with the Jets, maybe in that Matt Rule offense?
Well, it's in the context of the 2021 NFC, which has 4 or 5 really good teams, it appears. And so there's going to be room with a 7-team playoff for someone to kind of rise up. It makes sense to me that Carolina could be that team. I just was listening to you guys a few minutes ago, what you were talking about with Tampa Bay, and it's hard to move off of that team. And I completely get it with the roster is constituted with the greatest of all time at quarterback and all that.
By the way, Dave, I did not say that Tampa was going to repeat because I don't think they will, but you
were being nice to your guest, Ian. That's classy on your part.
Yes,
but don't you ever see like Stephen A? He just yells at people, and this apparently this equals great success. So you should yell at me or anybody else for saying.
You got to listen to my show. You got to listen to my show. I do.
All he does is yell.
I've been accused of the same, so I'm not accusing you of anything that I wouldn't do myself. First of all, teams just don't repeat very often. So that's a good place to start for why you don't think Tampa or anyone else is likely to do it in any given year. But he's 43. This can't go on forever. I know we're in uncharted waters. I get it, but this is still craziness. And for what it's worth, people like, oh, you're not picking the Buccaneers to win their division. Yeah, reminder, they didn't win it last year either. I think Jameis is potentially a little bit of an upgrade there from Drew Brees, at least the way he played in the second half of last season and pretty much the last 3 second halves of those seasons. He just faded away. So there's a chance that they might even be improved. That roster is loaded. But I like Matt Rule as a second-year guy. He's supposed to be, the real deal, an offensive guru. We saw what he did at Baylor, where he really, and Temple, it was year 3 in both of those stops that the team really elevated. I'm being optimistic. Year 2 will be it. And Darnold will see the closer version that had everyone convinced until about 48 hours before the 2018 draft when Baker Mayfield ended up going 1. Everybody in the world was in a class with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. Everybody was in on Sam Darnold. Or was everybody in the scouting community that wrong on this guy? We knew he was a pick machine. Control that. Great weapons out there. Some nice pieces on defense. I kind of like the Panthers in a mediocre to poor NFC this year.
I have a dark horse to the NFC, and it's a team out west in the San Francisco 49ers. I just want to know if you think that Jimmy Garoppolo keeps his job the whole year, or he's just going to get.
How are they a dark horse?
Because they were fitted. They were awful.
They're one of the favorites coming out.
They
of
are
the
not
NFC.
one of the favorites. That is a really tough division.
First of all, they're
Seattle is in that division.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yell at each other. That's what I'm talking about. Great.
One of the favorites coming out of the NFC. Absolutely.
I completely disagree.
Well, you're
the NFC West has 4 different teams that can win that division.
Good for you, but look at the team. They're absolutely loaded. They have 2 very good wide receivers. They have a good
Sir,
pass
you don't
rush.
even know what my question is.
It doesn't matter. You're saying they're a dark horse.
Because they're my dark horse, because Billy Goat Brady's in the same conference, and that's really hard to do.
Billy Goat. Yeah, you look like a Billy Goat, but
that's fine.
Anyways,
anything closer to Billy Goat Brady makes me a happy man.
Well, I didn't say you were the goat. You look like a Billy Goat.
That's fun. Now, if you would excuse me, I have to go and talk to my guest.
Actually, a Billy Goat has more hair than you do.
That's fun. It has more brains than you do. So if you'd let me talk to my guest, then that would be fun.
Go ahead, spit it out.
So, Mr. Dameshek, back to my question before we so rudely. Yes, thank you. Before I was rudely interrupted by the loudmouth to my left, do you expect Jimmy Garoppolo to keep his job, or do you think it's just a matter of time before John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan say, all right, Trey Lance, go ahead. It's your job now to lose?
No, come on. Listen, in the 21st century, in the age of free agency, I know it has happened with 2 high-profile guys who've been very successful sitting at the knee of somebody else in Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, but Jimmy G is not even Alex Smith, let alone Alex Smith twice. I guess that happened twice to Alex, but poor guy. And Drew Bledsoe. They both got Wally pipped twice. We really should update it from Wally Pipp to one or both of those guys. Either way, yes, Jimmy G is about to join that ignominious club. He's not going to keep the gig for very long. You don't move up to 3rd in the draft, not in the age of free agency. They're going to roll the kid out there at some point. What you're hearing now is that it's going to be with Taysom Hill type packages to get Trey Lance on the field. But I think that I'm sure Jimmy G, I'm sure Andy Dalton, all these vets know that their window is pretty limited. They better, if they stumble at all, that will open the window for the rookie to jump in. I mean, that I think it's that. Jimmy G keeps the gig as long as they're undefeated and or he's not throwing bad picks. Because let's keep in mind, Jimmy G's plague is he's a game manager though, and he went 13-3 just 2 years ago. Yeah, he's also throws a lot of terrible interceptable balls, and once we see one too many of those, I think it'll be the kid's turn to take over. But I'm with you that I really like the team, but on the other hand, I do have to say, point of fact, they are favored to win by bookmakers to win the NFC West. But that division is, I hear you though on how confusing that division is. What's the fun question is, who's definitely the last place team in that division? It's hard to figure it out because those are 4 pretty good. Well, in the coverage, yeah, the Lions are going to have the worst record in the NFC, maybe in the NFL. They'll be neck and neck with the Texans all year, I think.
We were talking to the host of -3 podcast and NFL analyst, Dave Dameshek. Now, Dave, there was a trade today. Sonny Michel obviously leaves the Patriots, goes to the Rams. We were just talking about the division. Obviously, with Matthew Stafford and some of the acquisitions they've made, this is a Sean McVay year for him, because if Sean doesn't pull off a win after trading up top first-round draft picks, 2 of them to be exact, and their starting quarterback, that's 3 first-round draft picks for Matthew Stafford, who is expected to play very well, being that the Super Bowl is in LA this year and has an opportunity for another team to play a home game in the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts with the Rams this year? Do you think the Rams are a favorite to go all the way?
I'm buying it, and I like the incremental steps of the team. They've been around it. They were in the Super Bowl not very long ago. They still have some of those core guys, not that many, but they still do have a couple essential players. The defense is mighty. I like Stafford as an upgrade, obviously, over Jared Goff. And yeah, I like it even in that division. They're my team to go to the Super Bowl this year out of the NFC. And by the way, it will be an all-LA Super Bowl, because that is correct. The Chargers are going to vanquish the Chiefs and win the AFC West. And once they do that, all bets are off. Once you get into the tournament.
I'll just tell you this, Dave. I've said that I believe the Chargers are going to be a very tough team to beat, and I think they're going to squeak into the playoffs and watch out for Justin Herbert. So I don't know if they're going to the Super Bowl, but I think Justin Herbert is going to take that next step as an elite quarterback in this league. He's sensational. He really is.
Oh, man. I mean, what you saw from his rookie year, can you really say that based on, getting thrust in there after a doctor thrust a needle into Tyrod Taylor's heart just before the game started in week 2, Justin Herbert was dynamite the rest of the way there, historically great. And is he that big a drop-off, that offense, that big a drop-off from what the Chiefs have going? I don't really think it is a monumental one. However, I think the defense for the Chargers is potentially vastly superior to what the Chiefs have. So it's not that insane to suggest that the Chiefs aren't going to just naturally win the AFC West as long as Patrick Mahomes is there.
The Chargers, a team that always loses close games, always has injury issues with a lot of their core players.
See, this is the problem, Dave. This is the problem with these 2 guys. They always think of last year.
No. Not just me. I think of their whole franchise history, Dave. They always have injury-prone players. They always lose close games, playoff duds. What do you think is different with this Chargers team? You got the hot take up to the Super Bowl. What is it?
Listen, it's a hot take enough to say anybody would beat the Chiefs in that division. So I'll stick there, and I won't hit on that one. But yeah, I do like him for the narrative. Wouldn't that be fun? Brady gets to his home stadium last year. Now it's LA v LA in the LA stadium. That would be cool. Not something I'm rooting for though. As a Steelers
I'll
fan.
probably faint if that happens.
Yeah, I probably listen. It's unlikely that
in America.
He's a Steeler fan. I guarantee you, Dave is a Steeler fan because he's.
I am a Steeler fan. Yeah. Of course.
I'm sorry.
Of course I am. Sorry. Don't be sorry for me. I'm living. We've got so many Lombardi. Yeah, I can barely take a step around Pittsburgh without tripping over either a Lombardi trophy or a Stanley Cup or whatever. Yeah. We do better in the Stanley Cup department than Tampa does. Although, you know what? Actually, Tampa's doing better than Pittsburgh. Scratch all that. Cut all this from the show. Now, to answer the question, I don't have a good answer because I'm with you. Obviously, that we see what's gone on there, and it's not been one season or 3 seasons. This has been the entire millennium, at least. They got the 1 Super Bowl. In fact, I was actually at that game in Three Rivers when Stan Humphries threw the touchdown pass to Tony Martin to beat the heavily favored Steelers way back when. And then they got whipped by Jerry Rice and Steve Young in that Super Bowl, if you'll remember. But anyway, I don't have a good answer for why this season's going to be different than any other one where the football gods, for whatever reason, I don't know what Dan Fouts or who did what to invoke such rage from the football gods that they just have to spite these guys with injury and otherwise every single year. It's got to change at some point, right? Yeah. The Browns beat the Steelers in a playoff game. All bets are off now going forward, right?
Without their head coach, too.
Right, exactly.
So I'll ask you a Steelers question here we go, right? I think you're going to finish last. What do you expect from your Steelers this season?
I think they finish second in the division. I think the Browns take it. I think that the Steelers, despite the collective wisdom that's out there, that the Ravens are once again going to be world beaters. I think that the Steelers and Ravens rivalry is all based around the fact that they are, generally speaking, not anymore with Roethlisberger v. Lamar Jackson. They're not mirror images of each other, but generally in the way they team build and the way they approach things, and they're interested in the same kind of players on the line of scrimmage and at defensive back and everything else. They often vie for the same guys in that way. So they play the same style of ball. I think the Steelers are going to be a little bit better than them. The big question with them is obviously the offensive line, but I'll remind you that the offensive line stunk last year. So this thing of like, boy, that line's going to stink. Yeah, it stunk last year. People seem to have forgotten that when they went 12-4 and won the division. So I still think the youth, and there's an MVP with Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow there are three guys with Heisman trophies. Roethlisberger's the one with the 2 Lombardis, though. I'll still bank on the known entity, even though he's long in the tooth, even though he's past his prime and doesn't move very well anymore. I'll stick with Roethlisberger and that roster going up against the Ravens and against the Bengals. I'm not trying to I get that the Bengals fans maybe have some reason for optimism, but are they going to win the division or something like that? No. Give me Pittsburgh. The one thing, here's a good bet. The total on their season is 8.5 wins. I mean, they're going over that. They have an extra 17 games this year. They've never had a losing season, Tomlin and Roethlisberger. So it's a good bet that they're going to go over that again this year.
As you guys know, we are talking to the host of -3 podcast and NFL analyst Dave Dameshek. Now, Dave, we were talking about Carson Wentz throughout the last couple of weeks. He's injured. Why are we not surprised? But he will be back for the beginning of the season. With that division, everybody keeps talking about the Jaguars and everybody knows about Lawrence, but that offensive line's horrendous. I don't know how he's going to be safe. And he reminds me of Andrew Luck, a guy that they're not going to build their offensive line until maybe a year or two before he decides to retire at the age of 29. That's what it seems like is going to happen to a young Lawrence. But looking at that division in Indianapolis, the way they've really built that team defensively, making the trades that they did last year to bring in defensive prowess. They have one of the best linebackers in football in Leonard. Is there something that stands out to you this year if Carson Wentz stays healthy where they could be a Super Bowl contender?
I usually don't worry too much about I'm sorry. I'm seeing something there. Excuse me. I've gone back and forth on, is 2021 Carson Wentz an upgrade from 2020 Phil Rivers? I'm unclear about that. I mean, look at what you've seen, though, the last couple of years. Wentz has been bad. I mean, he looked kind of good coming down the stretch. When was that? It feels so long. COVID really screws up my timeline now, if it was 6 months ago or 6 years ago. But he did have a nice little stretch down the end of a season a couple of years ago. But, yeah, he was an atrocity last year. I do like that Colts roster quite a bit. And if they had a bankable QB, I might like them to challenge the Titans. But as it stands now, the Titans have the easiest path to a division title of anybody I can think of, with the possible exception of Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. The Titans are not a flawless team, but they have a real good shot at getting the number 1 overall seed in the AFC, because they should have 4 wins right out of the gate. With the Texans and Jags on the schedule. That's an incomplete roster that Herb and Trevor Lawrence have around them. And like I say, I like the Colts a lot, except at QB, ergo, Titans division to lose.
I want to go back to the NFC West, because you actually brought up the fact that you like the Rams a lot. Another one of your hot takes that I saw on your Twitter was the Seahawks finishing last, which for a team that's been a playoff team, a consistent playoff team, and the one year they missed because Blair Walsh just all those mixed kicks that year and just missed on a tiebreaker. So why do you think the Seahawks finished last in that division despite all the stability? And if they do, is this the fallout for Russell Wilson and or Pete Carroll?
Well, I think that's what it's about. I'm looking at that, and I just said 3 minutes ago that Roethlisberger and Tomlin have never combined to have a losing season in whatever it's been now for the two of them together, 16, 17 years. And the same thing applies to Carroll and Russell Wilson. The difference is that Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson seem to have some rift between them, and it's not a short one either. It's been like 3 years now since Russell Wilson and CR were talking about that they'd rather be in New York, and then they come back and they do all that stuff. And I don't love the defense in Seattle. I mean, I do love the pass catchers that Russell has this year, but that West, like we say, is loaded. I mean, who are they going to get past? If you are really down on Cliff Kingsbury, that would be the reason to pick against the Cardinals. They're an incomplete roster too, but I mean, man, oh man, they should be able to score. They should be able to shoot it out pretty good with just about anybody. And at minimum, they do have pieces on defense. And that's what it's all about in the 21st century for defenders now is the Honey Badger is the quintessential guy in that regard. It's about takeaways and 1 or 3 special plays by your defense. Give yourself 1 or 2 more possessions. Give your offense 1 or 2 more possessions over the course of the game. You don't have to statistically dominate. Just win the, as they say, the turnover battle. And that's the most important. That's how the Patriots got the majority of their Super Bowl trophies. Well, also because they had the greatest quarterback of all time. But the defense, while not statistically dominant a lot of the time, was turning the other team over. And that's basically all you need. I kind of like Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt and the pieces they have behind them, those young linebackers.
Bringing up teams that have a rift with the quarterback. Deshaun Watson at this point, I would venture to say he has his suitcase already packed by the door. He's just kind of waiting to see what flight he has to take out of Houston. Do you have any kind of idea where Houston's at? Are they still fielding phone calls? Are they telling Deshaun Watson he's going to be there for the foreseeable future? What is going on in Houston?
Man, I don't know. I bet you he wishes he could take back. Well, he wishes he could take back a number of things. But the stuff about like, I'm done with Houston, I never want to be on the Texans again. I bet he laments having done that. It is crazy with the news cycle and everything else that this is one of the biggest stars who, when the season was wrapping up, remember around Christmas time, everybody's like, poor Deshaun Watson. We got to find a way to get him out there, because in the 21st century, shame the devil if there's a superstar who isn't in a perfect situation. We must free them. We must liberate them for some reason. I'm not clear on the reasons why that is. But I don't know who's going to touch him now. I mean, I was a big like, come on, Mike Vick. Oh, he's never going to play again. Somebody will get him. If you can still play, somebody will go get you. But right now, he's kryptonite. Who's really going to make a deal to get Deshaun Watson right? I bet it's a real bad look right now. At least once everything is settled and resolved, and even if he's on the wrong end of whatever a court decides or whatever, there will be a time down the line where he'll get back into the league, I bet. But wouldn't Goodell find him in the short term, even if he did get traded? Is Goodell just going to be like, we'll figure it out later, man. Meantime, go have some fun with your new guys out there. I just don't think that's going to happen. So I kind of think he's a non-factor this football season.
Really? Very surprised. We were talking to the host of Minus 3 podcast and NFL analyst, Dave Dameshek. Now, everybody's picking Kansas City again. It really blows my mind.
Not this guy.
Well, not you. You've got the Chargers and you have the Rams, which I'm very surprised. And I've always rooted for the Chargers, not because they were from San Diego and that I love that state. But the fact is I really like Justin Herbert. And I think he's going to be the next seed of great quarterbacks that we are going to see in this league. But we look at Kansas City and how talented Kansas City is, the acquisitions they've made at the offensive line. Everybody was like going crazy when they decided, hey, you know what? I'm getting rid of my left tackle. I'm getting rid of my right tackle. And we're going to bring in Thuney. We're going to move him to the tackle position. Then we're going to draft this guy. And then we're going to trade for Brown. And we're going to do all this stuff. And now we rebuilt this offensive line. It's a better offensive line. Are you surprised right now that everybody is picking Kansas City? And do you think Patrick, and I've said this over and over again since Patrick Mahomes has been drafted, as good as he is and as talented as he's looked on the field, do you think he's a little overrated with the talent that he has and Andy Reid standing right behind him on that sideline?
I'm not questioning his talent. Andy Reid is a play caller, is great, all of that stuff. But, once you start making $40-something million a year, you corrupt the roster overall. And this is why I keep saying about the AFC North, the greatest beneficiaries of Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield after this season, I'm guessing, will both get $40+ million contracts, will be the Bengals and Steelers. I mean, it's not good. The window, if you go back and look it up, in the age of free agency, guys, the QBs who win, even with Tom Brady and all the Super Bowls in year 47 for him, even factoring in Tom Brady's late stage career wins, and Elway doing a couple at his end, and Peyton getting that from a quarterback standpoint, a fraudulent victory in 2015. All of that was the team winning, not him so much. The guys who win the Super Bowl are in their second to fifth years as quarterbacks. And that's not a coincidence. That's because after year 5, that's when they cash in. That's when the roster goes south, because you're paying your quarterback. And they're really, even though we call a lot of guys franchise QBs and all that stuff, a lot of guys are middle-class QBs who in year 5, 6 start getting paid like high-class QBs. And Jared Goff has shown us, and Carson Wentz has shown us, and a lot of other guys have shown us, just because you pay them to be high-class doesn't mean they magically transform into being that. There are 5 or 8 guys who actually can cover up the warts of the roster with their individual greatness. And I think there's, like I say, just a small handful of guys that are actually at that level, and everybody else is fraudulent. So once, Patrick Mahomes, though, is able to do that, but it's going to require even more from him going forward, because the best roster he's been on is already in the rear view mirror. They're not getting better with him making that amount of coin,
Right. So going back to the Steelers, they have some interesting dilemmas with their skill players or offensive skill players. They drafted Najee Harris in the first round, which a lot of people are saying, oh, don't draft a running back in the first round anymore. It's not good. But Harris, very talented. And also the receivers they have, which one will emerge? So what do you think the expectations will be for all those guys this year? Who do you think will emerge, both from a reality standpoint, real football, and for fantasy too?
Well, Tomlin has a habit of having a guy who he really features as his runner. He doesn't, and it wasn't just Levy and Bell. He did it with James Conner, and in the Bettis was long in the tooth, and or he was gone, so he inherited Fast Willie Parker. Anyway, the point is, Tomlin tends to ride one guy and not mix and match like Belichick, as a for instance, or Josh McDaniels. So I think Najee Harris has a really good year, because they're gonna grind him, but good. They're gonna feature him. They're gonna feed him the ball constantly. And if I have to pick one of those guys, I'll say Deontay Johnson. He was the drops were really bad, and he's physically super brittle looking. He's slightly built, so I do worry that he's going to get banged up at some point. But of those pass catchers, I think Deontay Johnson is probably the best. But the tight end, Freiermuth out of Penn State's looking good out of the gate. They do. The question is, I know it's Roethlisberger, can he move and all of that, but I think at 39, he's good enough. The question is the offensive line, and until we see it, we won't know. We can say it's definitely going to be bad, but as I remind you again, it was bad last year too, and they still went 12-4. Are they going to the Super Bowl? I'm not going to bet on that, but I think that they're relevant throughout the season. Oh, and yeah. So I did I answer your question successfully? Yeah. Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. The thing with him is I don't know that it's going to change in his sophomore year, that he's suddenly going to be dependable week in and week out, because he's a splash kind of player where there are more dependable pass catchers around him. So it's not like he's going to consistently be an 8 target a week kind of guy. But with the jet sweep stuff that Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator, likes to do, he is a burner. So maybe he gets a little run that way, some unorthodox points for a wide receiver in fantasy terms.
I know you brought up the second or easiest path to you would be Aaron Rodgers going through the NFC North. Do you think in Chicago that they're closer to a rebuild, or do you think Justin Fields is just going to cure all woes and Matt Nagy's going to go back to being a genius?
Well, if Nagy blows this one, he may or may not make it to Christmas this year. So we'll see if he really screws this one up. Yeah, they're an interesting team because the Lions stink. I think the Vikings are mediocre at best. I think they're a mess. I think in the COVID age, when you have guys, including the quarterback of the team, being like, I don't want to take that's going to be a rift. It's, that was a big talking point. What was that, 5 years or so ago when Colin Kaepernick took the knee and this is going to divide the locker room and all that kind of stuff. You think guys bringing COVID in there, if the guys start testing positive, that's going to be a rift too. I think that has a real – Mike Zimmer is talking stuff about that he doesn't like Kirk Cousins not doing it. If that the head coach and quarterback not getting along is not a great thing for them. So the Vikings might not be good. Yeah. I think the Packers are going to be really good. In a mediocre NFC, like I say, I think Justin Fields has a real chance to be Rookie of the Year. So I guess I'll give a limited amount of optimism that they'll be okay this year, that they won't have to rebuild. But if things get sideways, man, that'll be it for Nagy.
Dave, before we let you go, and you were just talking about Justin Fields, and I think Justin Fields is going to have a sensational year. Your thoughts of this year's quarterback class? Now, a lot of people, we heard Chris Sims, he thinks Zach Wilson far and along is the best quarterback in this class. What has stood out to you so far this preseason, and who do you think, out of all these quarterbacks, where everybody thinks that this could be a very good, talented quarterback class, who sticks out to you, and who do you think is going to be the best quarterback in this class, in your views?
I fancy myself a semi-pro QB whisperer. I won't say, I'm not the greatest at it, but I'm pretty good at predicting these things. I'm going to say Trey Lance ultimately is the best. Herb has already shown in a couple of stops that even if things are going well from the outside, that, he's too hardcore. It's not going to get better in the NFL than what it was at Ohio State or otherwise. So I don't know about Trevor Lawrence's situation. I like, in the short term Fields, but I think over the long haul, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, it feels like they've got something rolling now in the way they approach things that has a sort of stability to it. And Shanahan works wonders with QBs wherever he goes. So this uber talented kid, I figure, is going to end up being a star as things go along. But the other thing is to keep in mind, when people wring their hands about what are we going to do at quarterback? Our guy's retiring or he left as a free agent. Every spring, there are 2 to 5 guys in the college pipeline. That it is not 2010 anymore. There are always good quarterbacks to draft, and there's some viable options on the waiver wire at all times. Look right now at the guys who you might be able to deal for. Cam Newton, you could maybe go and get. You could go and get maybe Jimmy G right now. Those are just 2 off the top of my head. And Deshaun Watson figures to be in the mix at some point in the next year, 2 years, something like that. Another guy you can go get. Point is, you don't have to stress about it, everybody. There are good quarterbacks coming every year. That's my takeaway is every year it's like, this quarterback's got a chance to be special. We say that about every kid every year. There's always like 1 to, like I say, 4 guys in the draft. It's like, this guy, now he might be really good.
I think Russell Wilson will be available too. One way or another.
I think so too. Yep. I agree with you.
I think, and I don't like this quarterback class coming out. Everybody knows about what I think about the Oklahoma quarterback coming out this year. I think he's just a obnoxious, what. So I'm not rooting for him. And when I do go to the draft and I plan to interview him, I'll give him my own thoughts of what I think of him as a person. Maybe not as a talent, but
good thing he gets to avoid SEC defenses until 4 years later.
Well, that could be a real culture shock down there at Oklahoma because they've never had a real cocky quarter. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait, he's in Cleveland now. Never mind.
That's right. Well, he's not as bad as this kid. I mean, watching QB1 on Netflix. No, Baker is nothing compared to this kid. You have no idea what
I said, why the Baker hate?
Well,
Baker was fun.
No, Baker was not fine. Running around naked when getting drunk during parties and hanging out at hot tubs
normal
and
college stuff.
Normal college stuff, running around naked around the all over the place while people are watching.
Normal college
sticking his flag in the middle of the field, pissing off people. Yeah, that's great, Baker. You're a smart guy.
They should have shook his hand.
Yeah. Well, good. You could shake his hand.
I will absolutely shake his hand.
I think you know what you need to do. I think you need to write to Baker Mayfield and ask for an autograph because you need it. Because you're the only person in the whole wide world a couple of years ago thought that Baker Mayfield was the second best quarterback in last year's
not what I said.
Yes, you did.
I projected him to end that season as the second best.
And you thought Lamar Jackson was going to be the worst, and he wins the MVP.
He's still not a great quarterback.
Okay, whatever you say. Okay. Anyways, Dave, thank you for joining us. We would love to get you on sometime in the middle of the season. You give us some good insight of what's going on in the NFL. We know your Pittsburgh Steelers are not something for you to be happy about this year, but I still think Pittsburgh could be a dangerous team if Harris could turn out to be the player that a lot of people think he's going to be. And I think Najee Harris is a beast. And I really believe he's going to be beasting. He is a better version, I think, in the future of Derrick Henry. So if Derrick Henry looks as good as he does, Najee Harris has better numbers than Derrick Henry did his last 2 seasons with Alabama.
I think the thing that if the Steelers are a little bit better than we expect, the defense will tune it up. They won't have a massive loss. The secondary cannot afford a single loss personnel wise, but if that front seven, even without Bud Dupree, is mighty.
I like them too.
I mean, that could swing things in an all offense league if they really do what they usually do, which is really harass and harangue QBs. You think Bake wants that? He doesn't.
No, they got weapons. As far as offensively, they got a running back and they have very good wide receivers. And they brought back a wide receiver on a cheap contract, 1-year deal, who where everybody was saying, oh, he's going to go here. He's going to go there. He's going to get 50, 60, 70, $80 million. Instead, he gets like, what, $5 million from
even less than that, I think. But let's just hope that this season ends to make things right in the world, not just for Steelers fans, but for football fans, for sports fans. It ain't right for the Browns to beat the Steelers. Let's all hope this season ends with TJ Watt chasing a naked Baker Mayfield off the field forever.
Well, I'll tell you who will chase Baker Mayfield naked, and the guy right standing over here with losing his hair, and that's Tyler, a.k.a. Meatball.
I never said
they're in love.
Now, what happens if Odell is involved in the picture too? Would he turn around?
Oh, you kidding me? He'll run after him too. He'd run after both of them. He might even give him something else. Who knows?
Dave, I got to deal with these idiots all day. All day.
Dave, thank you for joining us. By the way, tell the fans how they can find you on social media.
At Dameshek, DAMESHEK is how you do it. D Dameshek on Instagram, Dameshek, the last name, on Twitter. Track me down. -3 extra points. Good times. Thanks, fellas.
Absolutely. Dave, you're awesome. And we'd love to get you on again as the season progresses.
I'll think about it after we'll see what the Islanders do in free agency.
Stop. Don't even mention garbage can of an organization here.
Can of an organization.
Please.
They
play in front of mops.
2 times the Eastern
They play in front of mops and Zambonis.
Add
That's
Tarasenko, add Zach Parise.
You go to a Stanley Cup yet?
What are you talking about?
Who's the last team in New York to go to a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, and who's the last team that loses a Stanley Cup?
Who's the last team to win a Stanley Cup in New York?
Really? You think the Rangers are talented?
Thank you.
You know what it is?
Thank you.
Thank you.
The
Devils. The first 2 lines for the Rangers.
The Devils don't play in New York, and the Rangers.
You guys are both fighting in the tri-state. You guys are both fighting for second place behind the pathetic New Jersey Devils. And at least we're not Flyers fans. We can agree on that. But the Rangers have never.
Be nice though.
The Rangers have rarely caused me much pain. I pat the Rangers on the head. At least the Islanders have hurt my feelings on more than one occasion.
I would pat them on the head too, because the Ranger fans, they have their head so far up their tuchus that they think tuchus is. Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
A tuchus? You don't know a tuchus? A buttocks?
What a tuchus is? I don't know what Errol Marks just tried to say.
Well, maybe you should grow some hair. Maybe that will help.
I mean, that's fine. I still won't hear you any better.
Dave, I think you have more hair than he does, and he's a lot younger.
Look at this glorious mane I have. Look at that. That's a lot more hair. I didn't want to taunt you with it, but you know what? I think
shouldn't. That makes me very upset.
You're gonna taunt us soon because I can't imagine the blue shirts can blow what they got. They're so loaded up for the next few years. They should be a contender in these next few years.
Best player, best goalie, best young defenseman.
They don't have the best young goaltender. Sorokin's better than Sorokin. So you don't know what you're talking about. You talk.
You said the same guy's name twice.
You talk out of your rear ends.
Play that
You have
Well, they
absolutely.
don't have the best play. They don't have the best player. Settle down with best player.
Definitely
in the NHL.
Panarin is voted the second most hated player in the NHL.
Breadman is awesome, but come on, the best player.
They healthy either.
The best player in New York.
Oh, in New York. Well,
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's setting
Wait
the
a
bar
second.
awfully low. What are you talking about?
Than Matthew Barzal. Barzal's a different type of player.
Oh, the Breadman's better than Barzal. Is good.
That's not even a debate to be had. They're not even the
Pellick,
same player.
Pellick might be the correct answer.
Barzal's closer to Adam Fox than the Breadman.
This guy,
Adam Fox, right?
You wanna
Adam
know
Fox.
something, Dave, before we let you go, this guy, I was out last week. This guy barely even speaks. Now all of a sudden he doesn't shut up. Okay, and that guy has absolutely no idea. Every year he thinks the Rangers are a good team. They stink.
I didn't say that.
They
I said
stink.
they have a phenomenal
and they're
front
better
six.
they're better than the Islanders, which they're not. All around, they're not even close to the Islanders, and everybody knows that. So,
hey, I got a special request.
Go
You
ahead.
got to get my producer, and he's a talker too. You got to get my guy Eddie Spaghetti on your show. You guys will all fall very much in love. He's a Rangers, Yankees, Giants, Knickerbockers guy through and through. You guys will get on famously.
Hook us up, man. I would love to get him on. Speedy will definitely hook us up on that one. So, Dave, reach out to Dave, and he'll look us up, and we'll get him on. Maybe we'll get both of you on. That would be even funnier. That would definitely be fun. Pittsburgh and the Rangers.
Oh, no, he's very upset. Every -3 episode revolves around me berating the Yankees and their fans for acting like, I don't know this year, dude. Are we buyers? Are we buyers at the trade deadline? I don't know. We might have to be sellers this year. Like, you're the Yankees, of course. You're just, spoiler alert. You're just gonna pillage all the sad sack teams' village, and you're gonna take their assets, and you're gonna go make the postseason again. And you're going to act like it's a big surprise, and everybody.
Well, you can't really take shots at the Yankees for what they.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Because what they did is they traded away pieces that are probably not going to be anything. They bring in Joey Gallo, they bring in obviously Rizzo, and they've completely changed the way their team has played in the beginning of the season. And this guy over here taking shots at Brian Cashman. Oh, we need to get rid of him.
We needed pitching.
Okay, pitching. Yeah. Oh,
which is by the way why they're winning games now. Their pitching staff learned how to pitch.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Their pitching staff right now is ranked 5th in ERA in all of baseball. Oh, they need pitching. Oh my God, man.
They did need pitching.
You know what you need to do? You need
when the Dodgers win a World Series, you'll regret it.
Okay, the Dodgers win the World Series. How much you want to bet the Dodgers don't win the World Series?
We already have a bet for that.
No, we don't.
Yes, we
Not
do.
with the Dodgers.
Yes, we do.
No,
I
we
bet
don't.
$100 the Dodgers won a World
Was it
Series.
the Dodgers?
Yes.
Was it the Dodgers? Well, good. I'm going to win a nice $100. So there you go.
You ain't winning nothing.
Dave, thank you for calling. Thank you for joining us.
Take care, fellas. Thanks.
Dave Dameshek, awesome, really. From -3, check out his podcast, and obviously the NFL analyst. Great interview. When we come back, we'll get more into football and definitely swing to baseball with everything going on in baseball. And by the way, me and obviously Jeff had some good arguments today about a particular subject. I want to get into that subject when we come back here on the Sports Lab Mounts.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Do current market conditions have you nervous? Our experienced team of financial professionals at Heritage Harbor Financial Associates understands that no two investors are alike. We all have different goals, needs, and appetites for risk. That's why the one-size-fits-all approach does not work, especially when planning for retirement. At Heritage Harbor Financial Associates, we analyze your unique investment style so that you can work toward your individual retirement goals on your terms. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates can help you take steps to reach your retirement goals by providing a wide array of financial financial products to fit your needs, even for the risk adverse. Give us a call at 631-331-6599 to learn more or to set up an appointment with one of our financial professionals. You can also find us on the web at hhfa.org or on Facebook at facebook.com/hhfa.org. Our number again is 631-331-6599. That's 631-331-6599. Investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds and variable annuities are not FDIC insured and are subject to fluctuation in value and market risk, including loss of principal. Heritage Harbor Financial Associates offers securities through AXA Advisors LLC, New York, New York. Member FINRA, SIPC. Annuity and insurance products offered through AXA Network LLC.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. This is the Sports Loudmouths.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Sports Loudmouths. I'm your host, Errol Marks, my co-host, Tyler Meatball Patterson Harrison, and then obviously Speedy Petey, DJ Speedy for tonight. Remember, you can listen to our show every single Wednesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. You can call us at 631-672-3108. You can go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com, iOS, which is our app, Apple, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And by the way, I want to thank Ian Hartitz. By the way, Speedy, you didn't pronounce it right, and that really was embarrassing in the beginning. Thank you for that. And Dave Dameshek, who very, very good interviews, gave us some good insight in the fantasy. And then Dave, with his personality and his drive and with his wonderful hair, which obviously Tyler doesn't have.
All right, now, Snarks, calm down.
Snarks?
Snarks.
All right, you can call me Snarks. I don't mind that. Hey, call me whatever you want. You
Well,
can call me
I've got a lot of names for you, but I can't call them all on the radio.
Well, maybe when you actually speak, it could help out the show, So,
Wait, we're on a show?
It figures, because I was wondering what was going on last week or 2 weeks ago. When,
I don't like doing anything, especially when you're away, honey.
Well, you're right. You just sit there and wonder what your ass is to your tailbone. So, anyways,
it's the same thing, ain't it?
No, it's not. Anyways, I'm going to help you out with your body, and I'll explain things very slowly. So maybe
live, or do you want to go to break?
This is your nose, okay? This is your mouth. Anyways, I want to get into some football. We were just talking a lot about football. I want to swing over to baseball, but first, I want to get into. Me and Jeff had a long conversation on the phone today, and I could go back and forth with this. And Jeff is very much right about some of the things that goes on with the Hall of Fame and bringing it and picking Hall of Famers in professional sports. If you're not Peyton Manning or Tom Brady or Drew Brees or even some of the top end defensive players like, Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor, or any of those guys, Ronnie Lott. Yeah. So you talk about some of the great teams of our era, and the Patriots in the early 2000s was a dominant team. Tom Brady with that defense. Everybody forgets how dominant that defense was with Teddy Bruschi, with McGinnis, and all the different players that they had. The Will Forks of the world, being that he was a first-round draft pick. And Jeff was, and I am not a Patriot fan. Everybody that knows me on this show, I can't stand the Patriots, aka because of Bill Belichick deciding to go over to New England and win all those championships with the Patriots. But what bothers me about professional sports is being that those teams were so dominant, and you look at those teams and how powerful those defenses were. You can't tell me that Teddy Bruschi, McGinnis, Will Fork, even Julian Edelman, who's an offensive player, are not Hall of Famers. And you try to compare and contrast who's a Hall of Famer and who's not a Hall of Famer. And you look at numbers, and numbers don't really sell how talented those players were. Because, yes, Tom Brady is throwing the ball, but Julian Edelman has to catch the ball. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball, Tom Brady doesn't play defense. So those defenses have to step up. They got to make the plays. They got to be at the top of their games. And with all the Patriot teams, all the good Patriot defenses that we've seen over the years, even some of the other defenses from other teams, Klecko from the New York Jets in the early 70s and 80s. Klecko was one of the best defensive players in the league, and Klecko is not a Hall of Famer. Howie's not a Hall of Famer. We have a caller?
We got Jeff.
All right, Jeff, come on the show. We were talking about this, and it blew my mind because he's absolutely right about this. What's going on, Jeff?
How are you?
I'm good, man.
Do you see Tyler get all excited when Dave mentioned spaghetti?
Oh, Jeff, it was a long week without you.
Bring
Buddy.
bring his volume up, Speedy. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, did we lose him already?
Did we lose?
Oh, what a shame.
No.
Oh, I'm never that lucky.
So, Jeff, we were talking about this particular subject today for a significant amount of time. What are your thoughts to it? Obviously, I know your thoughts, but the fans don't.
I mean, it's just funny that there's like the narrative has changed around football. Like if you go back to the early 2000s when the Patriots won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls. When the Patriots won that first Super Bowl, everyone was rooting for the Patriots because they were taking on the beast in the Rams, the greatest show on turf. Everyone rooted for the Patriots. They loved them. And as they started to win more and started to dominate, there's become like this vitriol towards them, right? And it happens with everyone that wins. It happened with the Niners. It happened with the Cowboys. It happened with everybody. But the difference is the Patriot players are not getting the recognition for their greatness. If you go back to the Cowboys teams, Larry Allen got in, Leon Lett gets in, Emmitt Smith gets in, Troy Aikman gets in. Every Cowboy got in, right? Ronnie Lott's in the Hall of Fame. Jerry Rice is in the Hall of Fame. Montana, everyone from the 49ers gets in. Are you going to tell me the only Patriot that is Hall of Fame worthy is Ty Law? They won 3 out of 4. They won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls and dominated the league. And you're going to tell me now that the only good player was Ty Law?
Well, I think, I've said this. Devin McCourty, I think, should be a Hall of Famer whenever he decides to retire.
But he's part of the new generation. He's been in the league 10 years. This has been going on 20 with the Patriots. Are you going to tell me Willie McGinnis doesn't deserve to be in, or Ted Johnson, or Teddy Bruschi? They were all part of like a dominant early 2000s.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about Seymour too? He's another one that's right on that board.
Richard Seymour is another one, right? He wasn't always with the Patriots because they traded him to the Raiders. You're going to tell me that none of these guys are Hall of Fame worthy? And it literally just comes back to they won too long and we don't like them.
Do you think there's a grudge with the committee? Is what the basis is? Kind of like the baseball is with certain players.
I don't know what it is, but look at all of the great teams that won. The Steelers with the Iron Curtain defense, they let Lynn Swann in and Bradshaw gets in and Franco Harris is in and everyone's in from that team. Everyone's in from the Cowboys. Everyone's in from the 49ers. Patriots are up. You get one.
Well, Vinatieri is the most important part of that team, and he's definitely going to get in. So that's 2.
What? Tom Brady. He's still going.
That's 3.
Right? I mean, who did you say before, Tyler?
Vinatieri.
Vinatieri, yes, he'll eventually get it for sure, right? But this is what are you telling me the kicker is the only reason they won?
Right. It takes 56 players on a team. I said 53 with Jeff, and he corrected me. 56 players to win a championship. In football, it's an ultimate team game. And Tom Brady, as good as Tom Brady is, he doesn't play the defensive side of the ball.
And you need to go back to that time, that 2001, 2002, 2003. Tom Brady was still learning. The playbook wasn't big at all. He was brought along very slowly and wasn't the star of those teams. You're going to tell me Troy Brown wasn't any good?
I don't know if he's Hall of Fame worthy, though.
But this is what we're doing, right? Is you're going, I don't know if he's Hall of Fame worthy. Dude, these are the guys that put the league in their back pocket for a generation.
I agree with you.
So if guys that put you in their back pocket aren't worthy, nobody is.
Well, I agree with you, but here's ultimately kind of the double entendre of being coached by Bill Belichick.
Big word for you, Tyler.
You were coached by Bill Belichick, the greatest defensive mind in football, the greatest mind football's ever seen.
It never worked. It never worked against anybody else. Because,
I understand, but Belichick's MO is I can replace you with anybody. So that kind of diminishes your value to the Hall of Fame committee. Wrongfully so, but that's just how it goes.
But this is what you're doing. See, you're trying to diminish them by saying they were coached by Belichick and ignoring that the 49ers teams were coached by Bill Walsh.
Right, but hold on. I'm not doing it. I'm telling you what I think they're thinking is. I agree with you. It's wrong. but I know I can see why it happens.
You're the one who just did it.
No, I'm telling you what
You're
they think. I agree with you that there should be more Patriots in, but right now, unfortunately, there are a lot of great. Look how long it took John Lynch and Brian Dawkins. Look how long it took Terrell Owens. They're guys that have a wait. It's just a waiting period.
Terrell Owens is a different case because Terrell Owens was a douche.
Terrell Owens on the field is a first ballot Hall of Famer
who treated people terribly.
He did. He still does.
That's fine and dandy, but the committee should really just look at what they did for the game of football. And Terrell Owens rejuvenated the game.
I'm just going to listen. Terrell Owens deserves to be in, and he got in. But as much as Terrell Owens helped the game, he also diminished it by some of his actions off the field, right? And how he treated the media and how he conducted himself. Doing sit-ups in your driveway is no way to act.
Snug says they should consider putting entire defenses into the Hall of Fame, aka the 85 Bears. Numbers plus big plays and big moments equals a Hall of Famer. Ben says Bruschi gets in. Snug says Seymour Butts is already in the Hall of Fame. And Ben says Seau is in.
Rodney Harrison should also get
in. Yeah, but Seau wasn't a Patriot.
Again, Seau, you can't really count Seau, right? Because he was a Patriot for 2 seasons, and he was a Charger for 17 of them. I don't know if that's the number, but it was a lot.
He was there for a long time. Yeah. So yeah,
right.
you're
so
absolutely.
Some of these guys are going in not as Patriots. Right?
I would agree with you.
Where's Rodney Harrison's due? You telling me Rodney Harrison is no good?
He should definitely be in the Hall of Fame.
Terrell Davis. I was saying this to Jeff. Terrell Davis is in the Hall of Fame, and he had 2 really good seasons with the Broncos, and now all of a sudden he's in. But everybody likes him, so that's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Because over the early 2000s with the Spygate, and I understand that, and we're not bringing it up, but I'm just because of that, and because the NFL has brought that up. They're relinquishing what the Patriots have done and some of the players, how sensational they were defensively, what they did on the field, and taking away the opportunity to see some of these guys make it to the Hall of Fame.
Well,
right. All I was saying was I was trying to compare apples to apples.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah.
The Patriots won 3 out of 4, and then later they won some more, like 2 out of 3 or whatever it was, right? If you look at all the teams that had great runs, right, because it was the 49ers, and then they passed the baton to the Cowboys, who, I mean, it seemed like every year one of those teams was winning, right? And if you look at those teams, everybody is in from those teams. Every one of them. They're all in, right? There's literally 6 or 7 guys from each of those teams that made it in. If you look at the great Steelers dynasty of the 70s, Franco Harris, Terry Bradshaw, Lynn Swann, bunch of guys from the defense, Mean Joe Green, all those, the list goes on and on, right? They dominated their era. Are you going to tell me Ty Law's the only one worthy?
You wonder, too, because Tyler did bring this up earlier. You wonder if they play too much of the rotational and team football now that maybe a lot of their top guys are the only ones that are going to get in. Obviously, Brady will get in, Gronk will get in, guys like that for sure. But you're right.
Jones is going to get in.
But they're not part of Brady, okay? But when you talk about Will Fork and you talk about Gronk, those guys came in the league in the mid-2000s, 2008, 2009, like things like that. They're not part of the 2001, 2002, 2003 teams.
Oh, so this is a grudge specifically with that team. I think it is like the whole with the Patriots.
Well, no, we'll see. Like, listen, the guys from the Patriots now, we still need to wait and see and watch them retire and wait the 5 years and see what happens. But you can't tell me from the first part of the dynasty when they win 3 out of 4 Super Bowls and then they go on a run and they're in the playoffs every year. You're going to be like, no, Ty Law, and that's it. Well, where's Lawyer Malloy?
Lawyer Malloy is one of the most underrated safeties of all time.
Lawyer Malloy was one of the most dominant players in his position at that time.
I agree with you. Yeah, he was probably top 5 his entire career.
But it's not just the Patriots. It's not just the Patriots either. We've seen this in a lot of sports. We've seen this over and over again. What the NBA, who's going to the Hall of Fame.
Everybody.
You know that. No, not everybody.
Everybody.
The top 2 players on each team usually make it to the Hall of Fame, especially if they're elite. And then you talk about the NHL. You practically know if you score 500 goals or you're close to 500 goals and you have over 1,000, 1,200 points, you're getting into the Hall of Fame. But with the NFL, you don't know. You can have 70 sacks as a corner. And if you're not a liked player by the Hall of Fame, voters, you're not getting into the Hall of Fame. And to me, it ruins baseball too. You don't
baseball's the worst.
You don't.
They're the harshest.
You don't know who's getting in with the Hall of Fame. This guy, you have CC Sabathia. He has 280 wins or whatever, 270 wins, but he's going to get in over somebody else that has 250, 260 wins that was more dominant with a better ERA and better WHIP. It doesn't make any sense, and that's why you got to come to that understanding of who makes it in, what makes sense as a running back, as a wide receiver, as an offensive lineman. And by the way, how many offensive linemen get into the Hall of Fame? Barely any. And all the offensive line and the defensive lines are the two most and very important parts of the game of football, the trenches. And none of them make it. How many times do you see an offensive lineman go to the Hall of Fame? Please tell me.
I mean, think about this for a second. There are more players from the Bills teams that lost 4 straight Super Bowls in the Hall of Fame than there are from the Patriots teams that won 3 out of 4.
Doesn't make sense. It really doesn't.
Well, look at Randy Moss. Randy Moss, to me, was a bigger distraction to football than Terrell Owens was, and he didn't get punished at all. He was a first ballot Hall of Famer, and everyone rewarded him.
No way was Randy Moss a bigger distraction. He was a much better team.
No, stop it. If you get a criminal record, you're a bigger distraction than somebody that sits in your driveway and does curl-ups. That's ridiculous.
Dude, Terrell Owens destroyed teams with his personality. People love Randy
and
Moss.
I love Terrell Owens.
People love Randy Moss.
I disagree. I'd rather have a guy that's a little emotional than a guy that goes out there and gets arrested.
A little emotional? Terrell Owens?
He mooned a whole city.
Okay.
First of all, this is what's funny about that.
Yeah, I know. The fans did it before the game, whatever. The fans aren't millionaires.
No, hold on. This is why you're ridiculous. He faked mooning. He didn't pull down his pants and show his ass. He faked mooned them because that's what those fans do to him. So
everyone with a brain knows what the message is.
A player keeping his clothes on is somehow obscene.
Everyone with a brain who has common sense knows what the message means. He told an entire city, kiss my ass.
Oh my God. He mooned them. Dude, I was 6 years old hanging my ass out the window of a school bus mooning people.
That's great. Terrell Owens never did that. He stood in the middle of a star. Oh my God. Call the police.
He stood in the middle of the star and showed the 1-star rating.
Twice.
He stood in the middle of the star and showed the Cowboys
Tyler,
1-star rating, Jeff.
Tyler, do you seriously think
this is what's so funny about this is Tyler rails against the sensitivity of people and millennials don't know, and you're going to get super sensitive and butthurt over someone fake.
No, I'm not sensitive. I don't care. Oh, hold on. Hold on, Sleepy. Hold on, Sleepy. Hold on, Sleepy. Hold on, Sleepy. So here we go with this, right? First of all, I don't care what players do on the field. I don't really care. I could care less. If he flipped them all off, I wouldn't care. But here's the thing. Call a spade a spade. Terrell Owens wasn't liked because he says I'm better than you and I know it. And Randy Moss was having a good time, and he had the catchy one-liners with the straight cash, homie. Come on, man. Stop being an ignorant swine right now. Get your head out of your ass and really have a conversation here. Randy Moss was ratings, and Terrell Owens wasn't. That's why Moss got in, and Owens didn't. It had nothing to do with him.
Owens did get in, but good for you.
Well, no, Owens wasn't ratings because he was a team obliterator. Good way to steal Skip Bayless'
get in, so your point is what?
Randy Moss got in on one shot, never had to sweat it. And Terrell Owens had to wait, 3 years?
Dude, in is in. Nobody
he got in
cares.
on his third shot. That's 3 years.
Second year. He came in his second year.
In is in. Nobody cares. He got in.
He's a top 3 wide receiver.
No question that he
undoubtedly.
Is. No question.
That's incredibly petty and disrespectful to a top 3 wide receiver.
In the locker room
is Tom Brady going to wait for being a Trump supporter? Hell no. Tom Brady's going to get it on the first shot because no one's going to care that Tom Brady was a Trump supporter.
Tom Brady also won 7 Super Bowls.
Okay, that's great. Terrell Owens is a top 3 wide receiver all time. You think Larry Fitzgerald's going to wait? No.
This is the thing. You're trying to compare, like, people hate Trump supporters. No, people hate it if you ruin teams, which is what Terrell Owens did. People like Tom Brady because they don't care about his politics. He's a good teammate.
That's
That's
fantastic.
what people care about in the
Terrell
locker room.
Owens was
Are you
also a good
or
teammate.
not?
For every naysay you have a yay say. Like, stop. You weren't in the locker room, and neither was I. So I'm going to go with the players, and if I hear a 50-50 split, the media loves attention, and they love hate, and that's the problem.
I love Terrell Owens, and everybody that knows me, I'm a Philadelphia fan under the Jets. I've always rooted on Philadelphia.
I've never heard that.
I'm a huge Donovan McNabb fan.
I never knew that.
Oh, yeah, I'm huge. And when I met
He's
him in
another
Miami.
bum.
Yeah, well, I've always been a fan of him. I met him in Miami. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs over there in Miami at the Super Bowl. But I will say this. Terrell Owens was an absolute cancer in the locker room. And Randy Moss, even all the things that he's done to the fans outside the field, Randy Moss, nobody has ever said Randy Moss wasn't a good teammate. Chad Pennington came out and they played college ball together for Marshall, and he said Randy Moss was a great teammate. A great teammate.
Okay.
Randy Moss.
You've never heard anyone say that about Terrell Owens?
No.
Randy Moss used to throw parties for people. Randy Moss is famous for going to Bill Belichick and inviting him to his Halloween party. He was like, we don't get to go out during the year.
Randy Moss is an analyst on ESPN. Where is Terrell Owens?
Imagine
trying to come back.
Bill Belichick. Imagine going to Bill Belichick and being like, hey, man, do you want to come to my costume party? We're all going roller skating. Randy Moss paid for everything and got Bill Belichick on roller skates. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame for that.
Ben says Reggie isn't as a Packer, not as an Eagle, even though he was an Eagle longer. Snug says, so now we have a rainy cloud and a snowflake on the show. And in 7 years, I've never heard about a love for Philly, including when they won the Super Bowl.
And by the way, that doesn't take away what I think about Terrell Owens is the better wide receiver over Randy Moss. But the better teammate
is Randy Moss
by far. It's not even close.
I mean, we could all forget the Oakland years. Or year.
Did you ever hear Terrell Owens?
I think the Raiders Terrell Owens quit on a team.
Did you ever hear Terrell Owens and what he said about all the teams? He went
Hold on.
single team he ever played for. I was the best player on the team. He was not the best player on the team.
In San Francisco, after Jerry Rice retired, he was absolutely the best player on that offense.
But he wasn't the best player
absolutely.
on the team. No,
Who was?
He wasn't the best player on the team.
Who is?
First of all, Steve Young was the
Jerry Rice.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
No,
Jerry Rice retired,
left, yeah.
and Steve Young was also gone. It was him and
at the end
Jeff
of
Garcia.
at the end of his San Francisco
career. You're really
in
getting
Philly.
away from
He was the best player.
Really?
You're really getting away from the point
I know
here.
your boys
You're
Don
really
McNabb, but let's be honest. He got
Talent-wise,
tired and he
yes.
forgot the rules.
Talent-wise, yes.
Okay,
and
then.
Donovan McNabb was the better player on that team.
But you're really getting away from the point, which more was all of all the dominant teams. If you go across the board, the Packers when the NFL started, the Steelers in the 70s, the Niners of the 80s, the Cowboys of the 90s. Yes, I'm giving the Cowboys credit, Beeve.
Oh, man, he just rolled over in his grave.
By the way, we never brought up the Cowboys at all in any of those interviews.
No, the other people did.
I got a couple of new nicknames that I'm waiting to lay on the Beeve, too.
They were very funny, by the way. Very funny.
Yeah, the Prince of Potato Salad, right?
Or
the Sultan of Coleslaw.
That was the best one.
Wait, who's Coleslaw?
You don't get it, do you?
I have no idea. I'm really not listening to Jeff.
He runs a deli. He runs a deli.
Who runs a deli?
The Beeve.
Beeve.
Oh, that's a shame.
He's the Sultan of Coleslaw.
Oh, man.
Oh, stop. I have fun. I like to laugh at it, but the Beeve is one of my boys. So
you got to claim
He's
him.
the Duke of the Deli.
Duke of the Deli.
He's the Dak of snack.
And obviously, Snug says, # the Prince of Potato Salad.
I don't know. That might be giving him too much
No,
credit.
I like the Sultan of Coleslaw.
Hey, don't hate potato salad.
No.
Don't hate potato
I
salad.
said giving him, not potato salad.
The Sultan of Coleslaw. Was
But
the
that
coleslaw
was, but that was more the point, right? Was of all the dominant teams in the league, you get 6 or 8 guys from every team that get in.
Snug says he's the captain of cold cuts.
See, we're gonna be right, but this is my point. And even if you count Brady on that early team and Bennett Terry, you're at 3. There's
got to be an
from every
offensive
team
lineman that
get in.
deserves to be in. I'm trying to think. I gotta imagine there's a tackle on that team that should be in.
There was a bunch of them, Dan Conley and guys like that. There was a bunch of really good players. but you don't see any of them on the ballot.
How far back do Light and Mankins go?
Mankins should absolutely
Logan Mankins just retired a couple of years ago, so he would be probably coming up on the ballot in
this
a year
year,
or two.
next year, yeah.
He's definitely
right, but he was only in the league like 10 years or something. I'm not even sure he was on those teams.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I was asking
You were
how far
going
back
back
they
20
go.
years.
That's why I was wondering how far back they went, because obviously you're a Patriots fan. You know that a little bit that more. With their,
I get blurry on what guy was there when.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Tom Brady's
All of
going
these teams
to be
kind of
playing after his teammates get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Snug says,
Snug
says the beef is the chief of cheese and the tickler of turkey.
See? No, he's the tickler of pickles.
He's the gobbler of gobbles.
See, all we know is one thing is true. One thing is true about the beef when he runs a deli. He's just baloney.
Oh, Speedy, good try.
Oh,
good
Speedy,
try. Good
throwing
try.
his
Give him
jabs
credit.
on the-
You got to give him credit. That was a good try.
As you guys know, you can actually call if you guys want to call the other line, it's 631-965-4990.
That's
and
dangerous.
obviously Jeff is on the 631-672-3108 number. Jeff,
But I just think it's ridiculous that those teams were as dominant as they were, and we're all just sitting around going, "Oh, Ty Law," and that's it. Doesn't that seem ridiculous? They won 3 out of 4 Super Bowls and dominated the league for 8 years.
And the
best you can come up with is one dude.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you, especially when you look at the team like the Patriots. But there are other teams. We've seen it. Now, what I don't understand, we've seen San Francisco, we've seen the Cowboys, all the top teams of their era. The Patriots, they're the top team of that era, and there's only maybe a handful of players that are probably going to get in from those Patriots. I understand people hated the Patriots, and winning makes you hate them.
That's what it's become. Yeah. They've become too successful, and now everybody hates them and forgets how good some of these people were.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, Vince Wilfork, and I was telling you this, he's an absolute Hall of Famer. But is he going to get into the Hall of Fame? Who knows?
Right, but Vince, I don't think even came into the league until like
no, I'm not even talking about. I'm just saying that Vince Wilfork, in his career, if I were to choose whenever he becomes available to be a Hall of Famer, I think he's a Hall of Famer.
The other thing that hurts him, unfortunately, is just because he was a nose tackle. He wasn't that flashy type guy that gets all the sacks. And
even when he went to Houston, he was still really good.
I know that. That's my point. He still was the most dominant nose tackle in the league for years.
But this is the thing, right? Is the fact you know a nose tackle's name should tell you something.
Exactly. And
name the Bears nose tackle right now.
Speedy, you
can't do it, but everyone knows Aaron.
It's Eddie Goldman.
You can't, right? You can't do it, but everyone knows Aaron Donald because he's the best, and that's exactly how to look at Vince Wilfork.
Right. A lot of those nose tackles, even in the past as well, gotten forgotten just because they don't have those sack numbers that are going to say, all right, these guys have the numbers to get in the Hall of Fame too. Now, some of those guys got the sack numbers back because they actually just changed the stats, where a lot of the sack numbers that started in 1982 now went back to the 60s, right around the merger area. And some of them have gotten them back, but obviously some other guys like Vince Wilfork, who played in that whole sack era, still is not going to get that recognition for being the most dominant run stopper.
Right, but think about this. Anyone ever can only name 4 nose tackles. We know Vince Wilfork because he was good, right? We know Ndamukong Suh just because he stomped on somebody. Right? We know Albert Hainsworth.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Right?
Ndamukong Suh is not a Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
I bet you he gets it.
No, he's not.
We know Albert Hainsworth because of gun charges, and we know
and
Aaron
that contract
because he's the best. Right, and we know anyone can only ever name 4. Right, those are the 4. No one else knows another nose tackle, and no one should. But that's how good Vince Wilfork was. Everybody knows him, and he looks pretty damn good in a pair of cowboy boots and overalls. Did you see that Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
And not for nothing, he smokes up some pretty good ribs.
Yeah. Now you're talking.
Well,
you smoke?
Oh, he smoked up ribs.
Oh,
Tyler, you're fat. You should know what that is. Then again, maybe
by the way,
the smoking process takes too long. There's no drive.
By the way, you think Ndamukong Suh is a Hall of Famer? You think Ndamukong Suh is a Hall of Famer?
What?
You think?
I think he should get in.
No way. 64 sacks.
He was
64 sacks.
He was he played for the Lions.
He played for the Lions.
If he went to any other team, that's 112.
You're out of your mind. First of all, he's not getting into Hall of Fame. 64 sacks. He's not even amongst the league's top 1,000 percentile when it comes to sacks. At his position, he should have over 100 if he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's not even close.
He has to have, as a DT, he has to probably have at least 90, I would imagine, to get in.
He's not even close.
I think he's going to get in.
But nose tackles aren't sack people. Those are impressive numbers for a nose
pure nose tackle, yes. But Ndamukong Suh also played in 4-3 defenses in his career too. I think the majority of his career.
So you're penalizing a guy for being athletic enough to do multiple things. Got it.
No. I'm saying nose tackles are more prevalent when it comes to
that's what Ndamukong Suh was. But that's what Ndamukong Suh was. He was a nose tackle.
Okay, but he also had more pass rush.
And now you're going to go, but not really.
He literally was guarded by 3 or 4 men at a time.
Yes, because of the Lions.
And this is what you're doing, right? But this is what you're doing.
You're literally doing what Jeff was just talking not to do.
Right. This is what you're doing, right? You're penalizing him because he was so athletic he could play multiple positions, but he was a nose tackle, right? Which you are saying, yeah, he was a nose tackle. But then you don't want to give him credit for 64 sacks. So
Jeff, you think he's a Hall of Famer, Ndamukong Suh? Honestly,
yes.
You're crazy.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I think he can get there. I just think he needs a certain more amount to get in. Usually,
there are so many nose tackles that should be in the Hall of Fame, way over Ndamukong Suh. And the fact that you think that there are a lot. I guarantee you. I'm not going to pull it out of my head. There are a lot.
Doesn't name a single one.
Obviously, I'm bringing it up in a conversation.
Doesn't name a single one.
Yeah, well, Jeff, I don't have to name. I told you Klecko should be a Hall of Famer as a defensive end. Is he in the Hall of Fame? No. And Klecko is a much better defensive player than Ndamukong Suh at his position.
They played 2 different positions and 2 different styles of football.
It doesn't matter. He came from...
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
Klecko was the best defensive player in the league.
Suh was the best defensive player for like 3 years.
He was never the best defensive player.
You're crazy.
No, he wasn't.
You're crazy.
He wasn't even the best defensive player.
The Detroit Lions won 7 games a year simply because Ndamukong Suh was on their defensive squad.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Name another player from that team.
That's why
name another defensive player.
That's because their defense was ranked 30.
Can spit, you can yell. Name me another defensive player.
Where were they ranked when he was on the team?
Well, considering he was triple and quadruple teamed at a time.
Get out of here, Tyler. Get out of here.
Name another Lions defender on the whole team.
What he was good at is stepping on Aaron Rodgers' face. That's pretty much it.
Tyler, you're smart enough to be able to recognize what Errol just did because it's classic Errol.
Errol, name another Detroit Lion teammate besides Matt Stafford that played on the team.
Robert Quinn, right? Wasn't he there?
No, he played with Suh on the Rams for I think a year, but that was it.
But you're missing what Errol just did because it's classic Errol, right? He goes, there are plenty of nose tackles that should be in Ndamukong Suh. Names a defensive end.
I did. First of all,
can't name a nose tackle, though, can you?
First of all, Jeff, you like to bring me up in a conversation and try to throw freaking curveballs.
No,
we bring up a thing, and we bring up a conversation at Ndamukong Suh, and then all of a sudden you want me to just pull it out of my head to name players. If you want me to go look at numbers and go out of nose tackles, yes, I would probably take 50 nose tackles over Ndamukong Suh.
I'll put money on that one.
Really?
I'm just pointing out.
I guarantee you don't get 50.
I will go look at the top nose tackles in the last 20 years. I guarantee you that I take over 20 of them over him.
But I'm just
put money on that
what
too.
You did because you went. There are plenty of nose tackles that should be ahead, and then you named a defensive end, which is not the point you were trying to make.
So Aaron Donald's going to be the first name he says, right? Aaron Donald will be the name. Okay, that's one. That means he needs to find 19 other guys. There's no way. On the interior line, maybe Snacks, maybe.
Snacks is not a Hall of Famer.
No, over Suh, I'm saying.
Ben says Suh is not there yet. And Stokes says,
what do you mean not there yet? His career's almost over.
He's not a Hall of Famer.
He's got maybe 2 years left.
No, but I think Ben has a point, though, because Tampa, what he worked with in Tampa's defense this year was very good. He actually kind of rebirthed his game, especially when Vea got hurt. He actually played very well.
He's always been that good. The problem is he played in freaking Detroit, where he had 3 or 4 offensive linemen blocking just him.
So it's because he played in
Detroit. He's got a pretty complete career, right? Because he suffered in Detroit. He played great there. He was the star of the team. He was dominant.
He wasn't the star of the team.
He went to LA because Detroit gave up on him.
The team. He was not the star of the team.
It was in Miami in between.
Matthew Stafford was the star of the team. Matthew Stafford,
not true.
Calvin Johnson was the star of the team. Yes.
Calvin Johnson.
Matthew Stafford was a better. Matthew Stafford is a way better player at his position than
I
Ndamukong
agree
Suh.
with you.
He was the star.
I agree with you, except I believe Sue was there well before Stafford.
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
Stafford got there after him, before
Stafford
him?
was drafted 1 year before Sue. One was the first overall pick, one was the second. Shows the credentials of the Detroit Lions.
I mean, I think he's a pretty damn good player.
Well, he's not a Hall of Famer, and I'm telling you, he's not going to get into the Hall of Fame. So, and he's not there yet. And I'll tell
can't
you,
name another nose tackle with 64 sacks.
First of all,
before Speedy says, well, he played in other positions, stop knocking a dude because he can do more than one thing.
No. I'm saying for the scheme, he's not a pure nose tackle. Pure nose tackle is like Vince Wilfork.
I mean, he was.
Wouldn't that help his case?
Clogging up the middle on every.
But wouldn't that help his case?
He's not even he's not even under nose tackle. He's under defensive tackle. So he's not even a nose tackle. So,
but that's what they're just calling that position.
That's
anyway.
fine, but he's a defensive tackle. He's not a nose tackle. He's not under
right,
nose
but
tackle.
that's what Vince Wilfork is too. It's a nose tackle. You're
Right.
the guy in the middle.
But
of
it
the
is easier though to get sacks in a 4-3 defense as a DT than a 3-4 defense.
I mean,
Vince Wilfork is under nose tackle. So he is not a nose tackle. He's a defensive tackle. And that even throws it even more of a curveball because he's really not a nose tackle. So to me, again, I'm just looking at what they say in Football Reference. And he is not.
But you can't go by that because LeBron James is a point guard and he's not listed as a point guard. He's the point guard.
You guys did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he is under point guard. Go look at what LeBron James is listed
No, it
under.
says point forward is what you said.
No,
it says,
no,
right?
it says
so it's still not point guard.
No, LeBron James has multiple positions and he is under point guard. He absolutely is. Go look. Go look at Basketball Reference. He is.
Slick says that it's way easier in a 2-7 defense. Well, that would be quite an experiment of any NFL football coach at any level for that matter.
I mean, I think I should deserve a little bit of credit for giving the Cowboys their props to.
Yes,
I think I should just get a pat on the back for that.
LeBron James
I
position.
didn't take a single
small
shot at any of
forward,
the Cowboys.
power forward, point guard, and shooting guard. He's at all those positions. So he was.
So they're going to list him at everything.
No, he's not. He's not under center. He's
Wait a
under 4
minute.
different positions. What?
He's a what? He's a shooting guard?
That's
starts
that's
at all of
ridiculous.
those. It's amazing how he
doesn't
starts at all
shoot
of those
that much.
positions.
Really, he doesn't shoot that much.
So it's just him and Anthony Davis on the floor because he's their starting point guard, shooting guard, power forward, and shoot. And
Jeff, that's
small
not what
forward.
we're saying. He is under those positions because he's played those positions in numerous games. Again, you're always trying to throw a curveball because that's what Jeff likes to do. He likes to throw curveballs
Just him and
bring
Anthony
up
Davis
try to
out
make
on the
up
floor. 'cause
try to
LeBron-
argue a points
LeBron-
that makes no sense. And you
Gerald McCoy in the Hall of Fame
passes
to you?
LeBron, who passes
Is Gerald
to
McCoy
LeBron.
a Hall of Famer?
No,
I don't think he is.
No, Sue's definitely better than McCoy in his career.
No, I don't think
McCoy doesn't
Gerald-
have the same longevity Sue's had.
I don't think Gerald McCoy is a Hall of Famer. No.
Yeah, as soon as Gerald McCoy started to falter there, he kind of fell off.
Yeah.
He had a great 5-year run, 6-year run, but that's about it.
Yeah, Sue's at least had some good longevity. This last year with Miami and last year in Miami with Tampa, playing in mostly a 3-4 defense.
Ian won a
still had
Super
some
Bowl.
sacks.
Can't say that for Gerald McCoy.
That is true.
Well, I guess
the resume is there for Ndamukong. It really is. It's a complete resume when you look at it.
I don't. He's not going to be a Hall of Famer. I guarantee you, he won't.
You know, because the other guy that we got into the conversation too about earlier, Errol, was Julian Edelman. Should Julian Edelman be in?
Yes.
And I say, if you're not putting
because
Julian
of what he's
Edelman
done in the playoffs. But what he's done in the playoffs.
But it doesn't matter. He's doing it. Right? Everyone's going to knock him and say, oh, he doesn't have the wide receiver numbers. Right? But he's got touchdown passes in the playoffs. He's got, he ran the ball. He played defense. He was also a punt returner, but everyone only wants to call him a wide receiver.
And just so you know, I'm looking at Gerald McCoy's numbers. He's not too far from Ndamukong Suh.
Right, but Gerald McCoy never was a focal point for a defense.
That's fine, and he also plays he also played in less games. So again,
his career's over now.
That's fine.
Looking for a job.
You're
Sue just won a Super Bowl.
That's fine. Sue won a Super Bowl because he plays with a great team and he played with.
He played with the GOAT.
He's not looking for a job.
Gerald McCoy is too looking for a job. Didn't
No,
he
I
just
think
go
he's
to LA yesterday?
think
The Raiders just brought him in like 2 days ago.
I think he's on a team. But
they haven't announced it yet.
Again, Gerald McCoy played in like 15, 20 less games, and he almost has the same amount of sacks, same amount of tackles. So Ndamukong Suh is not too far off, and he's played in more games. So, and I don't, and I, both of them,
the coverage.
both of no, that's not true.
If you're single teamed and somebody else is triple teamed, and he's played more games,
you're as lost as your Rangers segments. Okay, you're so lost. The Rangers have the best goalie. The Rangers have the best defense.
Nope,
the
Rangers I didn't say that. I said in New York.
No, they don't. The Islanders are way better than the
As a
Rangers.
team, yes.
No, they have better
As a
players.
team,
They have better
absolutely.
players.
Better coach, better GM,
better
sure.
players, better all-around players. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's not even close. The Islanders are a much better team than the Rangers. And it's not
I
even
completely
close.
agree that they play better as a team.
By the way, Gerald
better
McCoy is
all-around
signed.
team
He is
with
signed
better
by the
round
Raiders. McCoy is a Raider.
I
When did that
I
happen?
love this.
3 weeks ago.
I love this
No
whole
way, really?
argument too.
Jesus.
What a great argument that you make when you go, they're not a better team. They may have had a better record, but we're much better than them. What a novel argument it is when you finish 20 games behind them and you're like, yeah, only because they play better together. That's what a team is, fuckstick.
So let me get this straight. If the talent is overwhelmingly front six on one side, right? Because I know you're going to bring up Barzell's name, okay? Outside of Barzell, the next, if you listen to the top 10 players, right? I would venture to say the Rangers probably have 7 of the top 10.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Right.
You know the Islanders have the
But
way
you
better
wanna know-
defensive
but
pairing.
do you know what you're doing?
Way
That's,
better.
Do you know what you're
that's
doing?
fine.
Yeah,
That's
Pellick,
fine because they played
Pulick,
together.
Yeah,
You know,
sounds
As a
like-
team,
but
they
this is-
play better
but
the
this
as
best
a
player
whole.
doesn't mean anything.
I
Do you not get
understand that.
This
I
is what's funny about this
understand that.
argument. This is what's funny about the argument is you're doing the same thing as your twin brother, the Beeve, does when he goes, oh, the Cowboys, though, they have so much talent on paper. Guess what? They don't play the games on paper. They play them on ice, stupid.
I understand.
It's not even close. They're not
Miami
even
Vice.
close. The
I get
Islanders,
it.
the Islanders are like a top 4 team in the NHL, and the Rangers are a bottom feeder. And they're never
They're
even
not
gonna-
a bottom
they're
feeder. Now you're
and I
being
would-
crazy.
a bottom feeder.
They're
And
not
I
a
would agree
bottom
with
feeder.
you, Tyler. And I would agree with you, Tyler, that probably as far as top-end talent goes, the Rangers have the better deal of it with Panarin and Zibanejad and Fox. They're not as deep as, like, the top-end talent. But that team, very seriously, is 4 lines deep, and they're very good
I
on those
agree.
4
They're
lines.
a more
You guys-
complete team. Yes. Yes.
Right, so that would
That's
be-
why Chris
they're better.
Drury's doing the job he's doing. He's adding depth
But
and
that-
toughness.
But
Yes.
that would mean they're better.
Depth.
They're a better team. You trying to argue that the Rangers are somehow
I
a better team
didn't
with
say
2
that. I
lines than
said
a
they had
4-line
more
team?
talent. That's what I said, and he refuses to acknowledge that.
They don't have better talent. They have three good players, and the Islanders have better talent. They have a better overall talent.
Three good players.
3 good. That's it. That's
3?
all they got. 3. That's it.
Who are these 3?
We just named them. We just named them. That's what we named them.
So the
That's
only
it.
3 good players on the Rangers
Yes. Compared to the Islanders and what the
are
talent they have.
Zibanejad,
Yep.
Panarin,
Yep.
and Fox.
That's it.
That's
all
it.
I would want on my team.
Right.
That's all I would want on my team.
Over who?
You know, but
Everyone on the team not named Barzell, right?
What are you talking about, Barzell? What are you talking about?
You
I
would
just-
substitute those 3 guys with anyone on the team, right? Not named Barzell.
Don't you
leave
get that?
Barzell alone?
Does it not sink into your head? How many times do we have to hear about your Rangers? Oh, the Rangers.
You brought up the Rangers.
No, because you're an idiot. You're an idiot that still honestly thinks that the Rangers are a good organization and they're a good run team.
No, we're
and
not
they're
a good run team. I never
they're
said we were a
never
good
going to
run
win
team.
a Stanley Cup in the next
I mean,
50
but what
years.
did you expect? What did you expect, though, Errol? Did you really ask him a question expecting common sense from the person that walked into a barbershop and asked for that haircut?
Can we get a photo of Jeff?
Can you imagine
like
walking
arguing
into a
with
barbershop?
It's arguing with Casper.
Can you imagine walking into a barbershop and saying to your barber, make my head look like Alex Smith's leg?
Wow.
You know what's hysterical?
Jeff just went there.
You know what's hysterical, though? This ballless bastard will never give us a photo. You know why? Because I guarantee you I would rip him to pieces. But he's going to sit here. He's going to have all the confidence as an internet gangster would. And he's just going to be, ho, ho, ho. Well, at least I don't look like that. Because he's got no real balls. So
What do
that's
they call
fine.
that? Is that the Mr. What do they call that? Is that the Mr. Burns on the chart? You asked for the Mr. Burns?
See?
Go in here.
You know why I'm ignoring him? Because I just called this whole segment. I just called the rest of this whole segment.
Snug says LeBron.
He walks in. He's like, he walks in. He's like, hey, Bob, give me the look that makes it seem like I've been in the ICU for a month.
See?
Snug says LeBron throws it up and alley-oop to LeBron, who stuffs it home. Barzal is a bum and everyone knows it. # Lyle.
No, I didn't even say Barzal's a bum. Barzal's a top.
He's just being a smart ass.
5 player in New York. Top 10 players probably.
Listen, let me explain.
Barzal's going to light it up. This Tarasenko deal goes through. Barzal's going to light it up.
No, Barzal's going to have a 100-point season. I get it. And then he's going to skate right out of New York like every star does.
Yeah, okay. That just shows you how dumb you are.
Will he wear Maple Leaf pajamas before he does it?
I hope so. That'd be freaking hysterical.
You know what's so funny about Tyler? He
here he goes. I heard his feelings.
Loves to.
I heard his
no,
feelings.
he loves
his big star's gonna leave.
He loves to take shots and always brings.
Yeah.
He always brings up the Islanders, trying to take shots at the Islander organization.
You brought up the Rangers.
Maybe you should just look in the mirror and just worry about the Rangers and where they're going, which is nowhere. They got rid of John Davidson, which makes no sense.
I agree with you.
Are you asking him to look in the mirror and be reminded of that haircut? Seriously? Horrific.
Did you just get done like swallowing a load or something? Why does your voice sound like that? Are you all right?
I probably smoke about 3 packs of Marlboros a day.
Oh, all right. Well, that explains it. Just say my grandpa's dead and he has a better voice than that. Like, what are you doing?
Oh my God.
I mean, you should have buried that haircut with him.
I mean, I could have, but why? You need to feel like a man somehow. And if making my haircut somehow makes you feel like a man, then I need to do that for you. That's what a friend would do. You need to feel like a man somehow, so go ahead.
It looks like you had a taxidermist work on that head. That's what it looks like.
Did I not say that he wasn't going to address what I said and he was just going to keep making snotty remarks? Can we go back to that? Exactly. Thank you, though, for making me look like I was right again.
What do you want me to address? What do you want me to address?
Listen, man, why don't you come on here like a video feed and we can see what the real great, handsome Jeff looks like? Because the way you talk, you better look like freaking Mario Lopez or something. Because you act like you're a model. And the fact of the matter is, I don't know.
I'm not. You know what's funny is I'm not even good looking. Errol's seen pictures, but a split screen with you, I would look like Mario Lopez. You are horrific.
Maybe not. I guarantee you I can poke a few holes in your Swiss cheese.
You look like you've just spent time in the burn ward.
I did. Robert Moses is hot out here.
Oh my God. The head of a burn victim.
I actually have like 3rd-degree burns on my back, so thank you. You're actually not wrong for one. I know you didn't plan on being right tonight, but boy, God, you actually stumbled upon it.
Jeff, are you surprised that going into baseball, are you surprised that the Yankees have won 11 games in a row, honestly?
No.
Really?
No, I told you they weren't that far away. They went and got the pieces that I suggested years ago. They went and got, and all of a sudden they play good, right? And by the way, it's so funny because Joey Gallo, since the trade deadline, is the worst hitter on the team. Tyler Wade is all of a sudden a star. Luke Voigt is Superman. Like all it took was a little motivation for these guys to play better.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised because. To me, I thought they should have been sellers.
I don't want to hear anything out of you. You said they were done.
I did.
They're still not going to win.
I did.
That it doesn't matter.
I did. I did. I absolutely did. And I eat up my words because Brian Cashman made 2 trades and it completely changed this team and the thought of this team. It's
don't
amazing.
Forget Andrew Heaney.
Who?
Exactly.
I think the kid, the Gill kid, their 4th best prospect has been sensational. And
is it like Heel or something like that?
Yeah,
4 straight
Heel or
4 straight scoreless starts for him.
It's unbelievable, and he's the 4th best prospect in the Yankees.
Now I still think they're going to have problems when it comes to the playoffs because pitching is going to be an issue.
Relief. I think they're
even starting pitching. I don't think they have the starting pitching to go with some of these things.
Well, Kluber's coming back.
Sure.
Kluber's coming back.
Oh God.
And
Severino and his magic shoulder.
Severino's not coming back. stories coming out that he's not coming back for the rest of the season. So,
Good. So get rid of him.
Which is another thing you were wrong about because you were like, just wait, Severino's coming back.
Nobody thought that his shoulder was going to go, and in his I guess his, what do they call it? His
UCL.
His a double-A practice or whatever. His throwing rehab start.
You're literally just talking about the same medical staff that couldn't diagnose him in the first place. Of course, he's not coming.
No, he's not coming back, but Corey Kluber is going to be back, and I do. Corey Kluber and Garrett Cole as my 1-2. That's not pretty bad.
You can't rely on him, dude.
No, you
can't rely on him.
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
Have been riddled with injuries.
And when he is healthy, he's a good pitcher. And if he stays
he's pretty
healthy,
good. No, he's right. But health is the concern. I don't think that you can rely on him.
Well, you still have 50 games left. If he can stay healthy and you go into the playoffs with Garrett Cole and Corey Kluber, you're in pretty good shape as a Yankee fan.
Yeah, okay? You need like 2 more guys.
No, you don't. You need 2 to 3 pitchers.
No, they really only roll with 3 pitchers that start.
That's all you need.
I understand. And I'm not trusting James Talion or whatever the hell.
That's still an unknown. We haven't seen him.
Montgomery was very good in the playoffs. He was the Yankees' best pitcher in the playoffs last year. So Montgomery as your third guy, that's not pretty. It's a lefty, a pretty good lefty. That's pretty good, and he's pitching very well this year.
He is pitching very well.
So
the problem with Jordan Montgomery though is
what? What is it?
That stadium come October when you get a team that's going to have guys that can.
Did you hear what I just said?
Yeah, I got it.
His numbers were pretty good in the playoffs last year. In that stadium,
I get it.
You also got to keep Aroldis Chapman away from firing guns.
That's what I'm worried about right there. It's the relief. That's what scares me. Not the starting pitching. It's the relief pitching and Aroldis Chapman. I don't trust him in the 9th inning. I don't. And who you going to put? Zach Britton already came out and said he's not worthy enough to close. So who are you going to put there? Green? That's what worries me about the Yankees right there. Relief. Mm-hmm. Who is closing for the Yankees? Who's going to close out if you're up by 2? And then I think you saw yesterday, they almost cost up a game, bases loaded. Chapman had to be pulled out of the game for them to win the game. That's what scares me. Aroldis Chapman. That's about it. I think
only there was a great reliever to be had in the trade deadline.
Who?
Kimball.
Kimball.
Who's had his woes in the playoffs, though.
That's fine. He's better than everybody we have now.
Again, the Yankees gave up, a lot, with all different prospects. I'm not great prospects, but to get Kimball, you're going to need to get. You're going to have to give up a top prospect, and I don't think the Yankees were willing to do that.
What did the White Sox give?
Madrigal, who is a very good prospect.
They're not going to give up a top prospect for
Why?
Kimball.
You have so many of them. They're none.
No, they don't.
You said it yourself.
None
of these guys are going to come play.
None of the prospects.
So wait a minute. Hold on.
The Yankees have 4.
Stop.
The Yankees have 4 prospects they're not willing to get rid of. They're not giving
Let's
up.
go back to the trade deadline for a second.
Here we go again.
When everyone was praising Joey Gallo, who now can't hit a ball off a freaking tee if it was standing in front of him, or Anthony Rizzo's trade.
Still a scary bat in that lineup.
Not if he's not hitting, Errol.
And he'll get
hot. If you gave him the stand,
and he will get hot. He's
okay,
one of those.
That's great.
He's one of those hitters.
He's a streaky hit. The whole team is one of those hitters.
No, that's not true. Aaron Judge is not a streaky hitter.
No,
he's not.
Right.
Rizzo is not a streaky hitter when he's.
We've never seen him go from MVP to where the hell did Aaron Judge go?
Aaron Judge?
Aaron Judge has disappeared for stretches of seasons.
Aaron Judge is a career 275 hitter. That's a streaky hitter? That's not a streaky hitter. No, it's not.
You're insane.
No, an average hitter in the major league, Speedy, what do they hit? An average hitter. An average team, what do they hit?
Oh, team.
An average team. What do they hit?
I guess this year 230 something.
Like 230. Like 230. Okay.
I guess in a regular year in the 250s.
Team 230. Aaron Judge is a career 275.
A team and individual players is a huge difference.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Because on a team, you've got to account for the pitching's batting average. You have to account for the guy that's a defensive
specialist. I'm talking about
specialist.
American League, you idiot. I'm talking about the American League. An average team.
Pitcher still hits in the American League, Aaron Marks.
Yeah, gets National League teams. That's it. An average.
That's also too small of a sample to judge.
It still goes against the numbers, Speedy. 0 is 0.
First of all, an average hitter, if he's batting 275 career, that's a good hitter. That is
I didn't say he wasn't good.
Okay, that's a good hitter.
Altuve is not a streaky hitter.
I mean,
you know who's not a streaky hitter on the Yankees? DJ LeMahieu's not a streaky hitter. Take this year out of it.
You're missing a whole nother concern for the Yankees. They
Managing?
have so many good play. No, they have so many good players now. They've put Giancarlo Stanton in the field. His odds for injury have gone way up.
No. Yes.
No, not in right field.
By
field.
the way, the greatest player in the league is what?
Who? Mike Trout?
Mike Trout. He's the greatest player by far.
Oh,
you know what
you're going to take a bad 6-week stretch?
You know what his career? You know what his career at batting average is?
292.
No, 305. So you're talking about you're talking about the best hitter in baseball, the best player in baseball, to a guy that's a power.
Well, Mike Trout's not a streaky hitter.
Strictly power hitter is batting 275 career to this year 287, and you're telling me he's a streaky hitter.
By the way, the 287 is probably also inflating that.
He's not.
I think it was like 260.
Tyler, you're out of your mind to say that Aaron Judge is a streaky hitter.
Stop comparing Aaron Judge to Mike Trout. First of all, they're in two separate realms.
First of all, I've never compared them whatsoever. I'm saying that you're saying that Mike.
What's Altuve's career hitting average?
Altuve cheated. Okay.
Oh, please.
He did.
He's hitting like 330 now, right? You think he's cheating now?
Yeah, that's not 330, but he has it well this season.
277 he's hitting right now. No, yeah,
right now he's in 277.
277 this
All right,
year.
so I misspoke.
He's at a bad second half thing because he wasn't
right. He was hitting three. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, is you're telling me he's
what's his career batting average?
You're telling me
what's his career batting average?
He cheated all those years.
Errol, just give me the number.
He cheated 308.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a cheater. He came from a cheating organization. He came from a cheating organization.
All right.
That's right.
You know how many steroid users the Yankees have employed over the years to win World Series? You want to bring up cheating?
Allegations have come out against the Yankees too.
That's fine. But I'm talking about the teams that
he calls them cheaters, and you say about the Yankees. Well, that's fine.
Jeff, again, I'm arguing my points right now because right now they're not cheaters, and Aaron Judge is considered a power hitter, and he's a 287 hitter.
He's not the best hitter on the team.
He is the best.
No, he's not.
What right now? DJ LeMahieu has better numbers than him.
DJ LeMahieu is the best hitter on the team. That's why he leads off, and Judge bats second.
All right, DJ LeMahieu is batting 268.
That's fine.
All right.
Do you know he hit 100 till June?
Who is hitting right now? Who is hitting and who leads the Yankees in hits?
Probably Judge, because LeMahieu couldn't hit a ball the first 6 weeks.
And he's a streaky hitter. Yeah, okay.
DJ LeMahieu, are you crazy? Can you act like you've watched baseball before outside of the Bronx? DJ LeMahieu is by far the most consistent hitter on the team.
Really?
He had a bad 6 months after signing the contract.
Right now?
Yes.
No, he's not. You're not. You obviously don't know numbers because I'm going to explain what batting average is.
When numbers go up, you play better.
Aaron Judge is right now 285 hitter. He's 285. He leads the Yankees in batting average. Aaron Judge averages. Now, when you look at numbers, Aaron Judge's hits averages a hit every 3 at bats. Okay, DJ LeMahieu.
That's not right.
That is right. Yes, it is. Speedy, bring up the numbers. Bring up the numbers since statistics.
333 is a one at bat hit every 3 at bats.
Speedy, bring up the numbers, please.
That's basic math.
Fine, basic math.
That is basic math. That is really basic math.
That's fine. That's fine. But again, basic math
250 is one every 4 at bats.
Hey, Jeff.
So one every 3.5 at bats.
Hey, Jeff, do you think Aaron Judge is a streaky hitter? Yes or no? Yes or no? Question.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No, he's not. He's not. So that just shows you.
Is Stanton a streaky hitter?
Stanton is a streaky hitter.
They're the same player.
No, they're not.
Errol, the Yankees literally brought Giancarlo Stanton in because everyone and their mother went on a whole orgy fest that summer when Stanton won MVP about how great would it be to have those two same players hit next to each other. Because, oh my God, they'd be a strikeout or a home run every other at bat. That was literally what was talked about a whole winter meetings long.
Giancarlo Stanton is batting 267 career. He's a 260 batting average. They're not even close, okay? That's not a streak, and he is not. And by the way, Aaron Judge is not a streaky hitter. And he is a power hitter that hits for average, home runs. He gets triples, doubles, steals bases. He does everything. He's a 5-tool player.
How many stolen bases?
128 hits in 542 plate appearances for LeMahieu versus 118 hits in 481 for Judge.
So it's basically 1 out of 5.
No, I'm serious. Read the numbers again.
So LeMahieu has 128 hits in 542 plate appearances, 477 at bats, versus Judge has 118 hits in 481 plate appearances, 414 at bats.
So LeMahieu still has more hits.
LeMahieu has more hits also in more plate appearances.
That's fine. He's the leadoff hitter. He's going to get more at bats.
Right, but it's also a little ridiculous because you're penalized. Like by doing that, you're like, oh, I'm penalizing LeMahieu because he stays healthy.
I never said right now.
Well, not only that, LeMahieu walks.
I never said that DJ LeMahieu is not a better hitter than Aaron Judge. I'm saying that Aaron Judge is not a streaky hitter. He's a good hitter. When you're a career 275 hitter, that's a good hitter.
No one said Judge wasn't a good hitter.
No, you said he's a streaky. No, he's not. He's not. He's not.
Ladies, you're both cute.
Anyways, Jeff, thank you for calling, man.
Always a pleasure, my man. It's always fun watching you two turn one conversation about the NFL Hall of Fame into something about the Yankees.
We're in middle of baseball conversation. I just said we're swinging to baseball. You didn't obviously hear it, but I think you were a little lost on that, but that's okay.
He's
Jeff.
always a little lost. He's a Floridian.
I'm actually not a Floridian. I mean, I live here now, but I wasn't
from
raised
Rhode
here.
Island.
No, that's even worse. By the way, is your family all right? Seriously, because Rhode Island got destroyed.
No, he's not
by
from
that
Rhode
stuff.
Island. I'm sorry, he's from Boston. He's from Massachusetts area.
No. I'm from Massachusetts, but like on the Rhode Island line.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He's from
Rhode Island really didn't get destroyed. It wasn't all that bad.
Oh,
you
all
know,
right. Well,
I mean,
that's good.
some down trees and some power out, but I mean, not as bad as it could have been, right?
No,
Let's
I
put
agree.
it
No,
this way.
I'm
The
serious.
damage there
That's
was
good. That's
the
good to
damage there was nothing of what like Red Hook got when Superstorm Sandy went through. That was crazy,
that was
you
bad.
know, like
yeah, I remember.
Sandy. So. But that's very nice of you to ask, though, Tyler. It's very, very nice of you. I'm glad that we're all getting along. Give my best to the Sultan of Coleslaw.
That's got to stick.
Jeff.
We should make that a hashtag.
Jeff, ladies and gentlemen.
Think about that, right? Dude, even better, Tyler. I want to ask you a question, a very serious question. I got Speedy Petey and Errol's. No. This is great, dude. This is great. You'll love it. If you had, and first of all, Speedy and Errol, don't answer. If you had Jeff Bezos money, what would be the first thing that you would do?
Jeff Bezos money?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Amazon?
had endless,
if you
had the most money in the world, what would be the first thing that you would do?
Buy the Yankees.
See, again, not bad, right? Like other people did noble things. Speedy had said when I asked the question, he said, I'd like to take my grandfather to Germany and give him the trip of a lifetime.
During Oktoberfest.
Alcohol. All right.
Errol did another noble thing. He was like, I'd buy all of the members of my family houses and make sure that they're set for life.
Friends and family.
Guess what I would do, Tyler?
Buy a golf course.
I would go and buy Beeves Deli just to be his boss and make him work till he fell over.
Oh, you wouldn't fire him?
No. I would hang a sign outside of the deli that said free food and have him make bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches until his fingers fell off.
That's so fucking wrong.
Would you sit in a lawn chair and watch him do it?
Dude, I would love it. I would sit there and be loving it. Sorry, Beef, time to make the donuts. Let's go.
Would he be the only one on staff?
No. He could still have the same staff and keep them. I would just make the Beef work until he had a heart attack and fell over.
Would you pay for the medical expenses?
Oh, yeah, of course. I got endless money. We got to revive him so we can get him back to work.
That's great.
You're mean.
That's great.
You're mean.
What do you mean I'm mean?
He's employing somebody. That's a class act.
You would give.
I'd give the Beaver a raise and bonuses.
Yeah, you want him to work 24 hours. That's what you want.
But I would sure shorten his life by how hard he worked. And then I would hang a little picture of him for a week up outside of the cold cut counter.
What employee of the week?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
How great would that be?
Think about the service that I would be doing, making him work till he fell over and died.
All right, Jeff. There's somebody that wants to buy in. Snug apparently is involved. Can I please buy a stake in that business venture?
Oh, dude, are you kidding me? Dude, I'm gonna build a viewing area outside of the thing so we can all have like a grandstands and watch Beef like slowly like die of exhaustion.
It's so messed.
Snug also says, I was thinking I would fly to New York and deliver a pallet of cupcakes to the Sports Loudmouths.
Please.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
You know what I'm saying?
It'll be gone in 5 minutes from our friend over here, Tyler.
Are they special? Are they special cupcakes or are they just regular cupcakes?
I'm going to make them special for you.
No. He knows what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what I mean.
He'll give you a nice little piece of him. inside of him.
No, that's not what I meant either, you pervert.
Yes, of course
Give
we
you a
had,
little
we had to
cream
expect
fill.
him to go there. It's
I just
little
wanted
cream
Speedy's
fill.
mom pie. That's it.
God, and you went there.
A picture of her? That would be
No, I
nice.
said Speedy's mom pie.
Well, I know. A picture of her on the pie.
No, just the pie.
Oh, okay. So you want a piece of her ass? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, a little poutine pie never hurt anybody.
Well, I think Snug wants a piece of that first before.
What, Speedy's mom or
Oh,
something else?
Snug says mixed, but I won't tell you which ones. That's interesting, Snug. You have the prank cupcakes going.
Oh, God. Ugh. Jeff, thanks.
Always a pleasure, boys. Beeve, go fuck yourself.
Oh.
Well, there we go. All right, Speedy. Anyways, that was Jeff from Tampa. How wonderful.
Masshole.
But Matt's home?
Masshole.
Oh, Masshole. Yeah, well, it's there. That's for sure.
Oh.
Anyways, we have still a half an hour left of our show. So
do we?
Yeah. So finishing up with baseball. Are we surprised that the Mets are just completely falling off?
Rojas should be fired.
You think Rojas is going to be fired? I don't know.
He should be fired.
I don't think he's going to get fired. I think he's safe for this year, being that this was the Mr. Cohen's first year. I don't think he's going to fire him, but Sandy Alderson should be really attacked for what he did at the trade deadline.
Who's the pitching coach?
Jeremy Hefner.
Goodbye.
No,
Goodbye.
Hefner definitely will probably.
Goodbye. You ruined DeGrom's career. Get out.
I don't know about his career zone.
Apparently they said his MRI looked great today. He's not. They say he's not coming back this year.
He still has lingering elbow inflammation, though, so it likely
yeah.
will be. If he does play, it'd be like the last 2 weeks of the season.
Right,
which
but
you gotta hope
you
the
guys
Mets are
aren't
in
playing
at
for
that
anything,
point.
so I wouldn't even bring him back for that.
If the Mets are a playoff contender, they'll bring
They're
him
not.
back.
They're done.
I don't know about that.
They're done.
What are they?
What
How
are
many?
you,
How
10
many games?
games
I think
below
6.5
500?
back there are now.
What for the wild card?
For their division, the wild card. I think they are much further back. Because Cincinnati actually, I think actually has a better record than whoever's leading the NL East.
Crazy how they fell out.
Well, actually, maybe the Braves.
They
surpassed
led
them
the
now.
division like a month ago.
They did. I know. And they fell off a cliff. I think at one point they were 60 and 56, and now they're 61 and 64.
their owner has been taking shots at them every single. You go look at social media.
Good. That's what an owner should do.
I don't think so. Not in the public eye. Not on Twitter. You do that. You do that behind.
Why?
closed
George
doors.
Steinbrenner would do it.
Yeah, but he's not George Steinbrenner. He just isn't.
But
George
he wants
Steinbrenner-
to be.
Yeah,
That's
the game
good.
is different now. If George Steinbrenner was still alive, he wouldn't be doing that. The league
he'd
is
also be like 106.
No, I'm saying that if he was alive and he was in the prime of his career, he wouldn't be doing that. The game is different now. You're not going to go out there and throw your team under the bus like that. I understand what Steve Cohen says and what he says offensively, how they're not hitting. But you're the idiot that paid Lindor $331 million.
How are you going to call him an idiot? He was a top 10 player when they gave him that contract.
I didn't think he was a top 10 player.
But him and Baez are the best middle infield combo in baseball.
Why? Because their numbers show that? Or
Because
this
common
year?
sense says it.
Common sense would not show you
Who's better than them?
I wouldn't say them.
Who is? I can't name one.
Middle infield.
Toronto, maybe.
Toronto's.
Biggio Bichette, maybe.
No, Biggio's out. Biggio's gonna.
let's see.
Yeah, because Biggio's had a down year too, like Lindor has, and he's been dealing with a lot of injuries.
Defensively, nothing's getting by them.
Okay,
right? They're
right.
two Gold Glove middle infielders.
How about Houston? Correa and Altuve. They're pretty good.
Correa has also fallen off in recent years.
That's fine,
so.
but
Correa also. Correa.
The Dodgers. The Dodgers.
Yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
that's true. The
All right,
Dodgers.
there you go. All right, Trey Turner and Corey Seager. But here's the thing about Seager, right? I don't know. I think the Mets. I'm not a Met fan by any stretch of the imagination. So
How about San Diego? They're pretty good too.
Tatis and who? Frazier?
Cronenworth. Oh, Frazier or Cronenworth, whoever plays.
Cronenworth's now playing first.
Okay, well, yeah, now, but yeah,
pretty damn
the
good.
Padres might have the best left side with him and Machado, if you want to say
Well,
that.
right,
Yeah.
right. I would agree with that. Tatis and Machado, but
right.
How about
as
Milwaukee?
far as
How about Milwaukee?
no, I would give the Mets to
No.
Milwaukee.
So
They're nice young
point
players.
being,
They're not elite.
The Mets are not far away, right?
I
They're
think
really
they
not.
are. I think they are.
No,
I
the
do.
pitching staff is there.
I think they are.
The lineup is there. They
First
just
of
need
all,
players
the
to
only
play.
pitcher that you could really that really stands out that is there is DeGrom. Everybody else,
But Stroman's pitched
gone.
well.
Stroman's gone.
Walker's pitched well.
Walker's
pitched
a
well
surprise.
He
He's a
pitched well
surprise.
in the beginning, but now he's really fell off.
Yeah,
badly.
great
Been a
start
surprise. Syndergaard can't stay healthy.
Well, Syndergaard's
if
gone.
If Wheeler was there,
Well, the
it'd
Mets
be different.
picked wrong. They picked
I
Wheeler.
said,
I've
said that over and over again when they made the trade. I thought Wheeler was going to be a very exclusive, big, important player to that team. No organization. They should have never gotten rid of him. So.
Snug also says Devers and Bogarts, I guess, for the left side of the infield over the Padres.
No,
I would still take the Padres too, because Tatis
defensively.
Tatis when he's been healthy has been rising into superstardom this year.
I'm just looking at some of the
Tatis would have won MVP if he didn't miss some games.
Yeah, he could have.
Tatis,
he could have for sure.
Boy,
it's and to me, again, you know, you can go. We can argue this all day long. I think when you look at the big picture right now.
With Merrifield.
We don't know if the Mets are going to re-sign Javier Baez. We don't know if I don't know.
Speedy, who would they give up?
What do you mean?
They gave up their first round pick from last year, Pete Crow Armstrong, but that was it. I'm surprised it only took one prospect.
I don't know.
It was 1 for 1? No,
they gave up a couple.
And the Cubs gave a salary dump pitcher to us, Trevor Williams.
Yeah,
that was us.
I don't.
The Pirates guy.
Yeah, formerly of the Pirates. Yeah, they're former I don't know about top prospect.
First of all, you're going to have to pay him $180 million, and I don't think they're going to do it. I really don't. Especially,
I disagree with you.
I don't. And
owner.
I think the Mets are making a big mistake because you paid Lindor $331 million to give him 180. That's two players. $500 million. Then you got to pay Pete Alonso in 2 years. You're going to have to pay him.
But what did Pete Alonso say? Because Alonso has been very vocal.
He's the best player.
He's the most important player.
He's the best.
Lindor's the best player.
No, I think Pete Alonso's their best player.
You got to keep Conforto because he's the heart of the team.
Oh, you got to get rid of him. He stinks.
He stinks. He's been awful all year until just last week.
He
was hitting low 200s much of the year. He's gone.
But in case no one's figured this out, COVID's really screwed up a lot.
That's fine. I still think Pete Alonso's their best player.
That's fine. He's definitely their most important player. Because when he's playing well, you're right. The team's a different team. Tatis Jr. Lindor is the best player.
I don't think so. No.
Then that's fine, but you need to pay both. So if Pete Alonso is telling him, "I'll take a pay cut, just make sure we got a good team,"
he's not going to do that.
You don't know what.
Well, the other factor of that is too they could also pay him now before he gets bigger money.
26 years old. By the time he becomes a free agent, he's 29. He's going to want to get paid.
But he also could get paid now before he gets bigger money, like we're seeing a lot of these teams do to the young players. I don't think the Mets are smart enough to do that either. But
they're not going to do it.
But we've seen the trends.
They're going to pay Javier Baez, and they're going to give him a lot of money, and it's going to be a big mistake. I said Lindor was a big mistake, and I'm going to say this: Javier Baez is a mistake.
It's his first year in New York. You got to take that with a grain of salt.
I'm telling you, it's a mistake. I'm telling you right now. And Lindor, you're going to see as it keeps moving forward and forward, he's going to get worse and worse and worse. I didn't think he was.
Think about this team, though, right? Alonso, Baez, Lindor, J.D. Davis, Jeff McNeil.
Hopefully.
Nemo.
McNeil's not the same player. Conforto's not the same player.
Did I even mention Conforto?
Conforto's gone.
I'm bringing up players that I'm saying.
Yeah, McNeil when he
gets
on
the roster for next year?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Because you can bring him back for the cheap, and defensively he's a wizard.
But is he gonna do it again like he did this year?
Defensively, he's always
but you need offense. You need bats.
But I just named 5 guys that take care of the bats, and then you get DeGrom.
Tyler, this
Taiwan
team
Walker.
is so far away.
They're not far away.
They're far away.
They're not.
They are. They're far away.
They're in New York.
And by the way, the Braves lost their two top pitchers, and they're in first place. They're not even the same Braves as they were last year. Okay, they're going to be better.
Acuna hasn't played all year.
And
no, he only got hurt a month ago.
And they lost their 2 top pitchers. Next year, they're going to be even better. Philadelphia is going to be better next year. I mean,
no, if they keep Girardi.
Girardi's
also
fine.
that they have a lot of money issues too, the Phillies. So we'll see how much better they can get.
The Mets are. I'm telling you right now, the Mets are far away than you think. And
they need bullpen help.
No, they didn't. They made a lot.
No,
of
the
moves.
Mets bullpen on paper is good. It's just the problem is I think some guys are just one type guys.
I think their bullpen's ranked like 11th or 10th in the league.
They fell off a little bit in the second half, but
They're
lot of
not
these,
bad.
They're not bad. A lot of the problem with a lot of these guys is they're one way. We thought as Mets fans at the start of the year they would have a little more versatility with that bullpen, and it hasn't been like that. where we thought, okay, Trevor May could pitch in different roles, Seth Lugo could pitch in different roles, and they haven't done it as well as we thought they would, especially Lugo, who was the most consistent relief pitcher on the team for the last 3 years. And those guys are the ones that have fallen off. But those aren't the big money guys, though. It's not really a money issue.
And just so you know, and if you look at the Yankees in the last 5 years, the Yankees have been in the top 10 in pitching, starting pitching in baseball. And the last 2 years, last year, the Yankees were 6th in ERA and WHIP. And this year, they're going to probably be in the top 5. And you said the Yankees need pitching. They don't need pitching. It's what the Yankees need. They need relief pitching. They needed
pitching is pitching.
No, their starting pitching was fine.
But what if you got a starter and move somebody?
You wanted
I did not say. I said Max Scherzer should have been gotten.
What did he say? What did he say?
But you didn't need Max Scherzer.
You said Max Scherzer.
I said we could have got Jose Barrios.
Max Scherzer.
I said even Kyle Gibson.
When I sit here, when you guys were doing a show, I couldn't sleep more than listening to you two talk about crap. When I'm here, you're talking your garbage. I heard you say Max Scherzer. The Yankees should have
got Scherzer. Yes.
No, I would have never went after Matt, and thank God the Yankees didn't, because I think Max Scherzer would have been a big mistake for the Yankees. They could get him in free agency in the offseason if they really, really want Max Scherzer, because that's where he's going. He's going to free agency. Dodgers are not re-signing him. He could go anywhere next year. He can go to the Mets. He can go to the Yankees. He can go to the Braves, which probably will happen. Okay?
Yeah, very much could.
Because they've got a lot of money, and they're under the salary cap. Very, very much so. They paid Acuna $100 million. I mean, you want to talk about a steal.
They paid Albies less than that, which was an even bigger. I mean, not necessarily a bigger steal, but another big steal.
You're talking about the Braves. They've got a lot. They're one of the richest owners, and they can absolutely make a move for one or two players next year.
And the Yankees are going to do what?
I think they're going to keep Rizzo. No, I honestly, I don't see the Yankees going after a big name pitcher. I don't. They have a lot of they have this kid Gill who they really, really like.
And you got Garrett Cole.
And they have Garrett Cole.
That's 2.
And that's right. And they have other pitchers. Montgomery. They've got pitchers. The Yankees got pitchers in their farm system. And as you saw what the Yankees have brought up, everything the Yankees have brought up so far in the second half has worked for them. So again, they have the 5th best ERA and WHIP in baseball. Okay, they don't need pitching, starting pitching. They need relief pitching. That's what the Yankees need. No, relief is different than starting pitching. You wanted starting pitching.
I did want starting pitching.
They didn't need starting
pitching.
But
pitching depth is still important regardless.
And
which one.
Not only that, if they didn't need starting pitching, why'd you go get Andrew Heaney for?
What are you talking about? Why they get it? Andrew Heaney is going to be in the middle of their pitching. You know, when it comes to
ERA
the playoffs.
is 5.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to put him in the middle. He's going to be. He's
in
going to
the
be in the
middle of
bullpen.
what?
He's going to be in the bullpen. That's right.
So when pitching is pitching.
When the playoffs start, that's where Heaney's going to be.
No, that's where Montgomery should be.
No. What are you, nuts?
You're going to run 3 deep.
Montgomery is going to be part of the 3 deep. Montgomery was the Yankees' best pitcher in the playoffs last year. Yeah.
Kluber and Gill.
Gill's not going to be he's going to be in the bullpen. They're not going to
put
insane.
The guy's thrown 4 shutout starts
4.5
in
innings.
a row.
He's a rookie. They're not playing him in the playoffs. They're going to put Montgomery, who's a proven player, proven starter in the playoffs.
Did they or did they not do it with your other boy?
What are you talking about?
Oh, my God.
Garcia.
Yeah. Remember his obsession with Devi Garcia? Where's Devi Garcia now, by the way?
They pulled him in the 3rd inning.
Right.
They pulled him in the
Where
3rd
is
inning.
he?
They're not putting Gill in. I'm telling you, they've been sending him down to AAA. How many times? There's 2 times so far this year.
They're understand.
Not starting him.
I understand
you
that.
Want to bet on that? You want to bet on that?
What?
You want to bet that Gill doesn't see a start as a start?
I'm saying he should. I don't care what they do or don't do.
That's stupid.
They should.
You do not start a rookie in the playoffs, especially a rookie that's
because Walker Buehler couldn't do it.
First, you're gonna talk about Walker Buehler, who's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Okay,
isn't that what you want though? You're the freaking Yankees. Why don't you start coaching people to be better instead of what they are?
Coaching, I think they've done pretty well. 11 games in a row.
11 games in July and
it's
dog
pretty
days
damn
of
good.
August.
That's right. The Yankees have one of the best comebacks I've seen the Yankees have in forever.
They've been the best team in baseball since the trade deadline.
It's been
before
an unbelievable.
the All-Star game.
It's been an unbelievable.
Got
it's
it.
been an unbelievable
awesome.
comeback. That's right.
Wonderful.
Who you wanted? By the way, their manager to be fired. So
not brought back is a better term.
he still does. So
I still don't waver on that.
I don't know how many.
What the guy needs to do.
I don't think a 30-game winning streak.
By the way, do you know what started this whole thing? Defense started being played again. They brought up Andrew Vasquez. They brought speed back. They started playing small ball. You saw bunts again.
What is that?
Holy crap. They started playing baseball.
That has a lot to do with coaching.
Shut up.
That has a lot to do with coaching.
So where's it been the first 3.5 years?
First of all, it has a lot to do with coaching. So
where was this the first 3.5 years?
3.5 years. I don't know.
He ruined Severino's career.
He won 100 games his first year, 100 games the second year. His third year, okay. Oh, by the way, he still won 90 games his third year. And by the way, he's going to probably win close to 100 again this year. Oh, he's a terrible manager. Terrible. And by the way, one of the biggest Yankee comebacks we've seen the Yankees have since, I don't know, ever.
How can you call it a comeback?
Are we going to go back into this? Because I want to get off of baseball. Are we going to go back into this?
No, I just want to know what a comeback is.
I think you're lost. I think the Yankees were.
They've won 11 games in a row.
They were dead in the water. I was one of the guys that said they were dead in the water, and they came. They were.
That's probably why they got 3 volts of life.
Yeah, volts of life. I did say that the Yankees pitching was going to get better. I also said that the Yankees were going to get timely hitting when their lineup gets healthy. I did say that. And by the way, when I said Rizzo was going to be the biggest move for the Yankees at the trade deadline,
hold on.
I said
I love
too.
the Rizzo deal.
No, you didn't.
It would make a ton more sense if Joey Gallo wasn't the deal before.
You wanted Mac. Why? They gave up nothing for Gallo.
Errol.
Oh my God!
I don't understand.
Do you understand that people have to pitch around Gallo to get to the other player, even if he's not hitting?
Working out real well for the other team.
And when he gets hot, what are you going to say, Tyler? Just like all the Yankee fans saying Giancarlo Stanton get in playoffs, and he was the hottest hitter for the Yankees in the playoffs.
No,
it's so stupid.
I've never once said Giancarlo Stanton can't hit. I'm the only Yankee fan that defended Stanton. So what I'm going to say right now is this: when he gets hot, it'll be great. The problem is he's going to get cold again. And if you really wanted to address bullpen or pitching, you should have did that first, is why I said. Had nothing to do with Joey Gallo.
So does every player in baseball get cold. So I don't want to hear it.
Not Aaron Judge.
Even my right now, Aaron Judge has been
as
good a hitter as any of the Yankees.
285.
285, yes, 285 for a power hitter. For a power hitter, yes.
Now the real question is: Joey Gallo ever had a 285 batting average in a small sample size?
No, probably not.
Anyways,
Slug says Scherzer to the Astros to hook up with Verlander again.
That's right. Verlander's been out all year, and the Astros are still doing whatever they're doing.
This is a good one. The Beeve is the princess of pickle loaf. Not
princess of
not
pickles.
Aaron Judge, and then bet eyebrows. Loser shaves them off live on air.
What?
Wait, but what will we be betting?
What are we betting? Because
I'll take that.
The Gale thing, whether Gale will start
Here's
at the
the thing.
playoffs.
He's probably right. The Yankees probably are too stupid to do that. So yes,
Speedy, would you start a rookie that's barely played the full season?
Not in a pressure game. I wouldn't mind doing it in a longer series.
That's not my question. Would you start a pitcher in the playoffs in the middle of the season?
Don't let his yelling
pitched
deter you,
who's pitched 4.5 innings in every single game that he's pitched in the regular season?
Depends on circumstance. Because
you're an idiot. I can't talk to you. You sound like a moron.
Don't make the pitcher better. Just let him not be on the postseason
You're done with the conversation because you drag things and you say stupid things. You guys can't even sit on a show and talk for more than 2 hours because you guys can't back and forth banter. But then when I'm talking, and you say you come at he's an idiot.
We agree
like
most of the time.
That's right. That's what makes you guys stupid. Because it doesn't make a good show and it makes it boring. And what you guys talk about, oh, by the way, you barely did. It was boring. So I sat here. I got fan mail telling me from the cahoots fan mail telling me that you two morons need to learn how to speak. How's that? How's that? You want me to sit here and tell you the truth? You over here, pencil dick over here, he talks with his statistics, doesn't speak at all when the conversation is global, and you over here, your head's down in your ass, in your crotch. Okay? So don't get me started. And then when I'm here, you guys say crazy, stupid things, and you couldn't do that when I wasn't here. So
don't talk when you are here.
No, it's called, if you guys want to build conversation, you want to learn how to talk on a radio show, you need to learn how to consistently talk with one another, not wait until I'm here to drag the conversation. Because honestly, me dragging a conversation and the crazy, nutty things that you guys say when I'm here doesn't sell when it comes to when I'm not here. You don't say nothing. Nothing. Zero. Absolutely zero. There was I'm not going to say who. There was a fan on a thing that actually wrote to me and said, honestly, I'd rather take a dump and read a newspaper than listen to these two guys. Okay? All right? That's what they told me.
Goodbye, sir.
Yeah. So
have a nice day.
So that's
enjoy your dump with the newspaper.
I'm just telling you what I heard.
And I'm just referring to him.
So
have a great day sitting on your toilet with the newspaper.
So what I by the way, anyways, and I'm listening to Snug because Snug wants to be a smartass. And anybody that sits there and listens to that, Snug, that's great. You are one out of maybe 50 people that I heard from. Okay, one of very 50. Okay, so I'm telling you, if you guys are going to argue, you guys got to argue about stuff and stop. And by the way, and you ask a million questions, Speedy, your questions. Ask the damn question. Stop beating around the bush. Go straight out at the question and stop going around in a circle to reach to the middle. This is not a lollipop. This is not a Tootsie Roll pop. Okay? Get to the fucking question. That's what I want to hear. When you're asking a question, ask the damn question. Stop beating around the bush. Jesus Christ.
There's nothing wrong with being around the bush.
Especially when you don't shave it. Anyways.
And now we got into another weird extreme again.
Anyways, to finish up the show.
I was trying to make them
I want to get into hockey because Jeff brought it up that the Tarasenko deal, and Jeff was it's almost done. It's the right now the Islanders are trying to figure out what matches that contract the first year, because it's $9.5 million they're taking on for Tarasenko. And Jeff says, well, who are they going to add? They're offering what I'm hearing is what's his name again? The defenseman.
Salo?
No, the defenseman that was on the team this year.
Aho?
No, he wasn't on the team this year.
He was for stretches.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't. They're not trading Aho.
Pulak?
No,
they're not trading any top guys.
Well, I'm just trying to think of who's got money on the defense.
There's no way they were trading any top guys.
Letty's gone.
The Tarasenko's value has fallen enough where he's not going to. The Islanders are not.
Mayfield, Scott Mayfield was from St. Louis. I'm hearing Scott Mayfield, a draft pick, a third or fourth round draft pick, and Jeff says, they're going to have to match it because they still got to sign Zach Parise.
Right.
They still have to sign Paul Murray. All two players that they're definitely going to sign. I'm hearing, and what I think is the smartest thing for them is to trade Josh Bailey. Josh Bailey is making $5.5 million. It makes sense. The numbers make sense. You're bringing in Zach Parise that'll fill in the void over there with Brock Nelson. You're bringing Paul Murray back. That's going to be you're going to put him with Pajot, and then obviously Tarasenko, who's going to be on your first line. Then you really solidify your three lines right there. And by the way, the Islanders. All their top young players are already signed for the next 3 to 4 years. The Islanders are going to be good for many, many years moving forward. And they've got some good young defensemen coming up very, very soon. So they can actually trade one way or another during the season where they can get some players and pieces if they believe they're a contender, which they will be.
Oh, they definitely are a contender.
And they will be.
Yeah. Bailey, I think, is an interesting one because he definitely sheds the Islanders money, and the Islanders have done a great job of shedding money all off season. So I don't think that was.
Well, they're bringing the reason why they're going to probably trade. And now Mayfield's a good defenseman. He's a good, he's a tough defenseman. He's pretty good. They have Robin Salo coming up, and Salo's their best prospect, and they believe he's going to be really, really good. So they bring him up, and they have Aho, and they have Bodie Wild. They've got players in their farm system that are really, really good, and they have this other Russian kid that they're bringing up that they just signed. Defensemen as well. So they have a cluster of good defensemen in their farm system. So this Tarasenko deal, Jeff actually called me and he said this deal is practically done.
And you wonder if the Blues and the Islanders actually had a very interesting scenario where the Blues are still kind of in the fringe of being a talented team that can contend. They're not what they were when they won the Cup, obviously, but they're still talented where they're a consistent playoff team. And you wonder if they're not trading.
The West is too deep.
Maybe
trading your top scorer like that.
But they've played well without him in certain stretches, though. Where
he played like garbage last year.
Well, he didn't play.
Yeah, he barely played. So what you're doing?
Like 15 games.
What you're doing
games?
Is making a solid in between trade.
Pretty good numbers too for 14, 15 games that he played.
So they made a pretty good in between trade where they're getting at least a little bit of depth to go along with the core that they have. Again, they lost a lot of pieces from their Cup team because again, that's what teams do. They lose money. They have to pay everybody, and they can't pay everybody. So in terms of that. They're getting a trade where they can still be competitive
If
too.
he stays healthy, the Islanders, I mean, from top to bottom, from first to fourth line, I mean, who's going to be able to compete with them?
Tampa.
Tampa lost a lot of players. Even Jeff was talking about it today. I said Tampa too. He says Tampa can't compete with them because Tampa lost like 4 of their top players. Yeah, so
of course
that's fine. And Tampa
Having the best goal in hockey will fill that hole.
Well, not necessarily. And they barely beat the Islanders last year. So now
they might have to go through the Islanders.
They're going to have to get through the Islanders, or maybe
Islanders could lose.
The Islanders could lose, but I with the Islanders, with the team that they have moving forward in the young, they signed Pelech. They got Pelech on a steal. I mean, you want to talk about Lou Lamoriello making a deal of a century? You give a guy 8 years. What was it? $5 million?
$5.5 million.
$5.5 million for a top end defenseman,
value,
a top 10 defenseman in a league. I mean, that's a steal. I mean, look what Hamilton got from the Devils.
Yeah,
$10 million. And I mean,
for a guy that's always hurt.
Pelech is just as good as Hamilton.
No, Hamilton.
But Hamilton's
not a defensive defenseman like him.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Hamilton's worth that gamble.
I don't know about that.
The Devils need so much they can't afford to give a $9 million a year average annual value. I could see it from a team that maybe needs the one defenseman to win now.
Well, I'm sure. Have they moved Subban yet?
No,
I'm not sure.
I don't think they can either.
Yeah,
that'll be the first cookie to crumble.
Right, and they gambled on that when
they're
they
gonna
thought
have to do what the Islanders
team.
had to do with Ladd. The Islanders had to give up a second, a third, and a couple other picks.
Yeah, it'll be a salary dump because he can barely skate anymore.
The Islanders give
just
up
like
a lot
Winnipeg's
to
going to have to do with Bufflin. It's just how it's going to go.
I mean, if you look at
if you're the Rangers, though, you better make that phone call.
A lot of Islander fans have taken shots at Garth Snow over the years. If you look at the players, the talented players that they have right now on the farm system, and the players that was all Garth Snow's picks, all of them. If you look at it, Barzal, Garth Snow, Pelech, Garth Snow,
the job
Bullock, Garth Snow.
Done before
I mean,
was awful.
The problem with Garth Snow was free agency, bringing in Andrew Ladd, bringing in, giving what's his name again, who retired with the eye injury, Boychuk. At the end of the, he really brought him in at the end of his career. He had one good year with the Islanders.
The Boychuk signing.
Yeah, I didn't. 8 years, $60-some-odd million. That's a lot of money
for that many years late in his career.
It was crazy. That was crazy. He gave up a lot of bad contracts. But as far as drafting, Garth Snow was valuable when it came to drafting. I think he drafted very well. So he's, and looking at what Lou Lamoriello, go look at his last 2 seasons. Besides last year, he hasn't, besides this past year, he had a second-round pick. The last 2 years, but his first 2 years, he didn't, actually, his first year, he had 2 first-round draft picks. For like the last 2.5 years, 2 years, he hasn't had any first-round draft picks. None. And look at the players that he has. I mean, a lot of those guys, Aho, Garth Snows. I mean, you go Salo, Garth Snows. So these guys, Sorokin, Garth Snow. So these are all Garth Snow's picks, and they've all turned out to be very, very good. So all the Islander fans that have taken shots, aka Danny, aka
I think he's the Islanders version of Tyler with the Yankees. I think he'll just criticize everything with that, even if it is
also Mike Milbury did a terrible job before.
Well, Mike Milbury was a long time ago. Mike Milbury wasn't even there when we're talking about Garth Snow. Mike Milbury, I think somebody was before Garth Snow, not Mike Milbury. So, what Garth Snow has done for the Islanders organization is set the Islanders up very, very well to be a contender for the next, 5, 6, 7 years. So they're put in a very good position. Now Lou Lamoriello's got to put that team, put his stamp to it, which he is. Zach Parise, Paul Mary, Tarasenko. He's putting his stamp to it and keeping the players, the top end players that the Garth Snow has drafted over the years. So Islander fans, the stupid Islander, the Lyles of the world that, say people are overrated when they're not. I think you need to go back.
I wonder if he thinks Tarasenko is overrated. He probably does.
He's lost if he thinks that. I mean, if Tarasenko stays healthy this year, with Barzal and Anders Lee, do you know how good that line's going to be this year? You're talking about one of the top 4 lines in the league this year, if they all can stay healthy. Tarasenko scares me because he can't stay healthy for the last 2 years. But if somehow the guy stays healthy with Barzal, you're talking about a completely unbelievable first line, and then you have a good second line with Palmieri and Pajot, and then Zach Parise and Brock Nelson and Bolivier, and then you have the fourth line, who's arguably one of the best fourth lines in hockey. So, I mean, the Islanders are definitely going to be favored to come out of the East next year if this Tarasenko trade actually does happen. Right. And what Jeff was telling me today, he says seal it up because it's almost done.
Yeah, and he also had in that Stanley Cup actual series against the Bruins, I believe he had 4 goals too. So it's proving he had, I think, 1 cold stretch in his career when it came to that series. Scorer. But he has some good playoff stretches too. And remember, the Blues, before they were winning all those cups, were always 1 and done in the playoffs. And he was essentially carrying that offense for a lot of the time.
And what makes him also unique is he can pass. He's a very good passer,
and he's got good size too. People forget about that. They think of him as just a speed skater.
He fits
type.
the Barry Trotz offense. Definitely does. Mm-hmm. Definitely does. And he's still 30 years old. He's still fairly young. So if you have him for 3 years and next 2 years after this year, $5.5 million for Tarasenko, a top end player.
Fair.
It's a fair contract for the Islanders moving forward. So I think the Islanders are positioned very well. And all the other guys, Palmieri, if they sign Palmieri, the only person that they could switch back and forth is Zach Parise. Every one of their defensemen, the top end defensemen, are signed or under contract for the next 3 or 4 years. So the Islanders are positioned in a very good position to be a top team in the NHL for the next couple of years. So,
and we know Parise is not going to make anything. So that's
he's going
to affect anything with
$500,000 to $1 million.
Exactly.
He's not making a lot of money. He made his money already with Minnesota.
Oh yeah, him and Ryan Suter definitely flourished in those one big off season for the Wild. And
if you can get 20 goals on the third line from Zach Parise, you're talking about very good productivity on your third line, and I think you can with Brock Nelson in that offense. So, and Bolivier playing on that line as well. So I think, and I think Josh Bailey makes a lot of sense for the Islanders to trade away in that trade to make this trade valuable because they want Mayfield, and Mayfield's the St. Louis. That's his hometown. That's, you know, and Mayfield's a good defender. He really is. And the Islanders giving away probably a top 4 defensive player. I mean, Mayfield was a top 4 defensive player for them. Dobson's moving slowly to the top 4.
Oh yeah,
he's probably the top 4 defender right now. And by the end of next year, I think Dobson will be the best defender.
Right. And they're going to ease Salo in like they eased Dobson in 2 years ago.
And Salo, I think Salo and Dobson are the future, future line mates as defensemen. So they're positioned very well. They have Aho. They have the other kid. I mean, and as far as the Rangers are concerned, I think as a Ranger fan, I listen to a lot of Ranger fans. I watch a lot. I listened to a podcast the other day, and our Ranger fans are just like loving what Chris Drury has done. What has Drury done? Now he added fighters. That's great, but do those players fit this team?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
Let me ask you a question. If somebody let's say if Tom Wilson knocks Panarin into next Thursday, who are you afraid of to go up to Tom Wilson and be like, oh, don't touch my boy like that?
Are you going to bring up the Reeves thing?
No. Forget Ryan. Before the Ryan Reeves trade.
Okay, who else?
Who would it be?
But who?
There was none.
Okay.
This team had no grit. They had no toughness. They had no nothing. So Chris Drury acknowledged that. He said, all right, we got nothing but a bunch of finesse guys. I need to add grit and toughness. That's why he went the guy from Gaudreau. That's why he brought in Reeves. He's going to bring in guys that play two-way hockey.
It's called bringing defense because that's what they need.
I agree with you.
I think they should have brought in a rough. If you want to bring in rough players, bring in rough defensive players. Guys that can hit, guys that can play the defensive position, not overpay defensemen, which we've seen the Rangers do over the years.
Well, Drury didn't.
Well, I don't like Drury. And I think I really believe Drury's not going to have that job very long.
Well, they should have never fired John Davidson. You were right about that.
Terrible. Yeah. That was a terrible. And I think it's going to catch up. Because, look, the Blue Jackets re-signed him.
They were probably like, you got to be kidding me.
They were licking their chops when that happened.
I'm surprised they didn't bring back Tortorella.
I couldn't believe they fired. When I heard John Davidson was out after the first year, I was like, what are they, on drugs? I mean, you're talking about a guy that has built he built that St. Louis Blues team to a championship team. He built that Blue Jacket team over the years. And then all of a sudden he leaves to go and take over his dream job. And then they fire him because of the whole Panarin thing with the Wilson thing, which is ridiculous. Absolutely fire the GM, who was an absolute terrible GM, not the president of the team that you brought in to build this team into a competitor. It was terrible. It was terrible. I think the Rangers were big and stupid, but we'll see.
Yeah, they've been that way for a while.
And I listen, I know Chris Drury. I played hockey with him, played junior A hockey against him. I know him as a person. He played baseball, played Little League World Series. He was a talented player. He was always an overrated hockey player. And as far as scouting and talent, he's never been a GM, an assistant GM. He's never been a GM in this league. To put him in New York where the pressure is on, if he doesn't find the right, build this team fast, the way the Islanders are building right now with Lou Lamoriello and back-to-back GMs of the year and Barry Trotz.
The Islanders have been building for like 10 years.
No, they haven't been.
How long was Garth Snow there?
They have not been building.
How long?
Everybody was
Garth Snow
talking
there?
about the Islanders being the laugh of the town for years.
Yes.
They've been building
the
for
early
3
2000s,
years.
they've been terrible.
Since Barry
Right, but
Trotz
it's
and
a
Lou
different
Lamoriello,
now.
they've been building for the last 3 years. That's it. They're a completely different team. Before Lou Lamoriello and Barry Trotz
So
came
all this
in,
draft capital just came overnight.
well, what they did is they with the draft that they had, with the players that they had to structure them in a structure type of game, and that's what they did. Bringing in Barry Trotz, it structured the team and made them the team that they are.
Not to mention, not many teams do well in any sport when they're having to shed that much money all at once, and just they have to do it. The Islanders did it all this offseason with a lot of the bad contracts.
Right. We're talking about their success now.
3 years.
Right,
But when you get a lot of bad draft picks and you draft terribly for a long period of time, eventually you reap the benefits of those young kids coming up at once.
Sure, but you also
That's what happened to the Islanders.
But that money will also hold you back to be able to get those veteran pieces to help them out too.
Outside Tavares, who they really have to sign?
No, I'm saying in terms of the bad contracts they had.
They signed Barzell. They had to pay Barzell. They just paid him.
But hold on, Barzell's recent. I mean,
Pulak.
When you guys were god awful, right? Because you guys were a laughing stock for a while. Where those draft picks came from then. So who are you paying then?
If you look at the Islanders in those draft picks,
Boychuk,
a lot of the draft picks that they have right now weren't even first round. Pelech, not a first round. Sorokin, not a first round. Pulak was a first round. If you go up and down their roster right now, the great players that they have, they weren't even first round picks. So it just
that's
shows
the best
you.
way to overcome that kind of cap.
Brock
issues
Nelson
that
was
they've
a
had.
late first round pick. Late.
right? But we always talk about this. Drafts in the NBA, baseball, and hockey.
I'm just
are
saying,
a joke.
when you talk about when the Islanders had all those top end draft picks, none of them turned out to be anything. You look at the Islanders.
Tavares turned
By
out
the
to be
way,
nothing.
the Islanders' second round pick, their only second round pick this year. Some people say they got the best player in the draft. He fell. They thought he was the number one pick going, and he had a bad season in juniors. Fell all the way to the second round. The Islanders drafted him. Some people thought he was the number one pick, and the Islanders got him in the second round. He could be the steal. The Islanders signed him. They just signed him. They don't usually sign players like that right off. They signed him. He's going to go to Bridgeport this year. He'll probably be on he'll probably make the team. Okay,
He might very well make the team.
It's crazy. That just shows you that the Islanders strategically they get players. They find players. Lou Lamoriello, he's a genius. He really is. And you can't take. But just so everybody knows, all those Island fans, most of those players weren't Lou's players. They were Garth Snow. So all you fans that write all these stories about Garth Snow, oh, he's terrible, he's this, he's that. Garth Snow, you should kiss his ass.
They make those fans make Garth Snow look like he runs the Sabres front office or something like that.
You should kiss his ass for what he has done.
Where is Garth Snow? He's not unemployed.
I don't know.
I think he works for the Islanders organization, but he's on the outskirts of the Islanders organization. He does.
What a shame. All I know is you better get him. If you guys do win a cup, I don't think you will, but if you do win a cup, you better get him around.
They're very close. And if they do land this Tarasenko trade, best believe Hockey Digest and everybody is going to pick them to come out of the East. So they're that good. And you talking about their defense. Their defense was top 3 defense. They've been a top 3 defense the last 3 years. They were the number 1 defense last year. They were the year before that. They were the number 2. This year they were the number 3. I mean, this is a very and their defense all young. Dobson's 20 years old. Okay, you have Salo coming in. He's 20 years old. You have Pulak 25, Pelech 26. This is a young, defensive, talented team, and Sorokin, who is everybody says is going to be the talk of the town, the best young goaltender, one of the best young goaltenders in the NHL. He's also 25 years old. So the Islanders are set when it comes to core defense. It's not really bad to say when your core is defense and goaltending. That's what wins championships.
Right.
So
no, you're right.
So I think the Islanders
Tell that to
positioned very
Henrik
well.
Lundqvist
And
to
they do
retire
have
that
one of the
one.
best young, talented offensive players on the first line in Barzal. So, and you put him with Tarasenko, watch out. Watch out what that line's going to do this year. They could be scary good. They really could. I just worry about Tarasenko's health. That's it. If Tarasenko stays healthy, you're talking about a guy that could score 40 goals.
No, Tarasenko is healthy. He's probably not on the trade block either.
No, well,
Better get him tough then.
Well, they're also he's ordering himself out. He has a no trade clause, and he says there's only 4 teams I want to go, and Rangers were one of them.
Right.
But I don't think the Rangers need him.
No, not at all.
You know, so
No,
him and Jack Eichel should be the
I'm just
first
saying you
thing
never
to
know.
go
The
for.
circumstance might change though if he wasn't hurt all the time though either.
Yeah, I don't think the Rangers need him.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
They don't.
I don't think the Rangers.
We don't need Eichel either.
The Islanders need a player that could play with Barzal to take the pressure off him. You know, and with a player like that on that line with Anders Lee, who missed the whole season, watch out. That line's Anders Lee's going to score 30 goals. You got 30 goals for him, 35 goals for Barzal, and 40 goals for Tarasenko. Best line in the NHL, or one of them. So that's how good that line could be. But we'll see if Tarasenko gets traded, and we'll see if Tarasenko stays healthy. You know, because Anders Lee's coming back from a torn ACL. So that's also scary, you know. And Barzal's got to stay healthy and keep his head on straight, which I believe he will. So
just get a little more aggressive too. Get more confidence in his shot because he's.
How is he going to be confident when he has nobody that he can
right?
pass
Exactly.
to?
No, I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying.
Look who his line mates were.
Oh
when
yeah,
he lost Anders
terrible.
Lee.
It was terrible. I know.
The guy that had 1 goal.
Yeah.
Okay, and the other guy, Eberle, who was overpaid, who had 16 goals this year.
No, that's what I'm saying. They're definitely going to get more confident as a result of that for him, just as a personal thing that it doesn't have to do everything and be the playmaker and all that stuff. Because obviously Trotz's system isn't in terms of like over aggressive.
No, and that's why I think I
offense,
even with Barzal there and Tarasenko, I still don't think Barzal's going to score a lot of goals because they're going to have to play defense. Trotz,
of course,
he pushes defense. Offense has to play defense, and Tarasenko fits that mold. That's why I think Tarasenko is a very huge pickup. If the Islanders somehow swing this and not have to give up much, a Mayfield and a Bailey and a second or third round pick for him, I mean, that is a steal for Tarasenko. It really is. And then Palmieri, he already said Palmieri hasn't signed with anybody. He's not going nowhere. He's signing with the Islanders.
Sure.
And Parise.
Palmieri and Parise are done deals. We'll even give you that.
So and also I think Bolivier actually did sign. He signed a 2-year extension.
He signed that extension, and he's a nice value for him. I think only like $4 million, something like that.
4.2 million. I think that's a steal. And you put him with Brock Nelson and Zach Parise. That's a pretty good third line. It really is. I'm telling you, if the Islanders stay healthy this year, watch out. We saw how good they were last year with the team that they had last year. They'll be even scarier this year with the players that they have. I guess that's it for our show. We will be back tomorrow. I did want to get into this Jake Paul thing. I mean, have you been watching this Showtime the garbage? I do want to
get knocked out yet?
No, it's Saturday, and I'm looking forward to this because even though Woodley is not a boxer,
no, Tyrone Woodley will knock him out.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Tyrone Woodley doesn't knock him out. His career's over.
I don't think Tyrone Woodley is going to knock him out. I think it's going to be a lot closer than you think. I think it's going to go to decision. There is no decision. So it's an exhibition bout. So there is no.
Which is an absolute joke in its own right.
Well, and by the way, estimated Jake Paul to make on this fight $15.5 million. $15.5 million.
Can't be mad at him.
For 8 rounds of marketing garbage.
Can't be mad at him.
Very nice.
Be mad at the idiots that buy it up.
Oh, he's a great marketer. I can tell you
that.
Yeah.
He's Floyd Mayweather. Floyd did the same thing.
I just don't know.
Except Floyd could box.
I just don't know why anybody wants to watch it. So.
I actually think Woodley's the bigger name in the fight.
No, Jake Paul is.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. Tyrone Woodley, Jake Paul says he would bet him his winnings over his winnings that he will beat Woodley. 15.5 to Woodley's like $4.5 million that he's going to make on this deal. Woodley says there's no chance in hell because he wants the money.
Sure,
because
but I
was
don't
not
know.
going to bet on that. Now Jake Paul was willing to bet the $15.5 million.
I think if Tyrone Woodley doesn't knock him out, I'm going to be insanely disappointed in Tyrone Woodley.
By the way, Snug says never hate the player, only hate the game. So thank you.
You're my boy, Blue.
Eat that cupcake, my friend. Eat that cupcake. Anyways,
The next cupcakes.
Yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We will get into the whole Jake Paul craziness. We will get into some football. The Beef will be with us on Thursday, next Thursday, not this Thursday.
Thank God.
Next Thursday, the Beef will be joining us.
I'm going away next Thursday.
Are you?
I am now.
Well, I think it'll be very interesting.
The Beef, aka the Sultan of Slaw.
Coleslaw.
I'm interested to see what will happen when the Beef is here. So the Beef will be here. What I'm hearing, it's either Wednesday or Thursday. I'm trying to push Thursday because it makes sense Thursday. Jeff thought was football started next week. I said no, it's the week after. Right. So the Beef already said that he wants to talk about the NFL. He wants to do his picks.
No,
that's what he always does.
Flipping God.
So I want Beef to come in here. I think it'll be an interesting show. I'm sure a lot of callers will.
One.
No, there'll be a lot of people calling up the show. I'm sure.
We got two lines. So we got Jeff on one
Jeff
end.
will
and
be on
probably-
one, and everyone else will also.
Whoever else wants to call.
And they're all going to call. The Beef is a very popular player, and when it comes to coming into the studio,
Let's not call him a player. Let's call him a.
I'm interested to see how he handles the crowd. So
probably how the other guy.
The Prince of Piccolo. That's what we'll call him.
Nah, I'm going to call him. What did Jeff call him?
The Sultan of Coleslaw. I like that. I like that.
I like Princess of Pickles.
Anyways, hashtag ban the Beef with Ben over here. So, anyways, you don't even Ben doesn't even know who the Beef is. Yeah,
I was going to say I don't. Remember
He just rolls with it.
He doesn't even know who Beef is, but
he'll find out next week.
Sorry in advance.
So, anyways, that's it for our show. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 p.m. Tune in. Until then, this is me, as an arrow, Tyler Harrison, and Speedy PD with the Piccolo saying good night. And we'll talk to you pickle tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Saturday, August 28th, add it to your calendar. The Sports Betting Channel presents To Be Determined. Our new show starts at 8 o'clock out here in San Diego, 11 o'clock in New York, and then we're done just in time for the first game kickoffs for college football. You're going to get 4 totally different slices of sports. Blackhawk West joins us for Saturdays in Canada and some plays for the CFL game. What do you do when the easy sports data is trending in opposite directions? Well, Mo's going to help us decide what to do on Something's Gotta Give. There's also Paulo's plays. Now, if you're not betting soccer, you really should be. And this guy is very, very good. Finally, there's Wake and Bake, where sports betting meets marijuana. Hey, the games start early here in Southern California. Now, 9 o'clock's a lot easier when marijuana is legal. It's like having 4 shows in one. Check it out Saturday, August 28th on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, and on the Sports Betting Channel.
Edward Lehman has been a trusted insurance advisor for over 16 years with insurance solutions for auto, home, commercial, life, and retirement. He's located at 54 Sunnyside Boulevard, Suite H in Plainview. That's just 1,000 feet south of 495. Local agent, local advice. The time to think about insurance is before you need it. So do yourself a favor, and before you pay your next insurance bill, give Ed and his team a call, 516-935-3900, or visit him online at www.allstate.com/EL. Edward H. Lehman Insurance is your trusted insurance advisor.